So for those folks who are currently in the meeting, I'm going to let you know I am going to go ahead and make the meeting live. This is Liz Mayland, your city clerk. So once I do that, everything that we say and do will be live, and anybody in the attendee side will be able to hear us as well. So the meeting is now live, and once the council president has logged on, I'll let her know when the time it's time to start. Should be just in a minute. Thank you. And I'm going to ask, I see a whole bunch of people already raising their hands. If folks could please wait, and please don't raise your hand until the meeting has started and the item has been introduced. And Council President, it is now 6 p.m. and you certainly have a quorum.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we hear you perfectly.
Good evening. Per Executive Order 29-20, which suspends certain requirements of the Brown Act, the council members will be participating via Zoom, and no members of the public will be present in attendance at the meeting in the interest of public health and safety. Per the Brown Act, we posted notice of the meeting agenda more than 24 hours in advance of today's meeting. In addition, this meeting is being televised and live streamed on the city's website, and the clerk has made arrangements for the public to comment using the Zoom webinar platform. We appreciate the public's cooperation. The clerk will go over the specifics of how to join the webinar, and we'll give details on how the public can offer their public testimony. I will now call the special city council meeting of Monday, May 17th, 2021 to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember LaCava.
Present.
Council President Pro Tem Whitburn.
Here.
Councilmember Montgomery Steppe.
Here.
Councilmember Von Wilpert.
Present.
Councilmember Kate. Councilmember Campillo.
Here.
Councilmember Moreno.
Present.
Councilmember Ela Rivera.
Present.
And Council President Campbell.
Present.
Each council member is attending virtually. Also attending the virtual meeting are Deputy City Attorney Brett Bartolotta, Independent Budget Analyst Andrea Tevlin, Senior Advisor of Policy and Council Affairs in the Mayor's Office Javier Gomez, and myself, your City Clerk Elizabeth Mayland.
We will begin this evening with an invocation by City Clerk Mayland, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Moreno.
Yes, our city's invocation. Grant those who hold office in this city the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people.
Put your right hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The public may view the meetings on public television on City TV Channel 24 for Cox Communication and Time Warner Cable, or Channel 99 for AT&T UVerse, or view the meeting online by going to the City Clerk homepage at sandiego.gov and selecting the City Council Live Webcast blue button on the right-hand side of the page. Members of the public can offer public comment by joining the link by computer, tablet, or smartphone, which is listed online in the preamble language of the agenda, which can be found on the city's webpage. To join the Zoom webinar by telephone, you may dial 1-669-254-5252. The webinar ID is 1-601-40-5223#. This information is also unavailable in the agenda and will appear on the screen during the public comment period for each agenda item. Please, folks, wait until the item you wish to speak to has been called before raising your hand to speak. If you raise your hand during a non-comment period, your hand will be lowered. For purposes of today's meeting, the order of business is anticipated to be as follows. We will take up informational item 600, followed by non-agenda public comment.
Thank you, clerk. A quorum is now present. Is there any mayor, council, city attorney, independent budget analyst, or city clerk comments? Hearing none, we will now take up our informational agenda. Clerk, please introduce item 600 and proceed with public comment.
Yes, item 600 is an informational item. This is the proposed fiscal year 2022 budget. The public comment period for this item is now open. If you're already in our Zoom webinar and you wish to speak to item 600, please raise your hand by tapping the raise your hand icon. If you need to call in to speak, please call 1-669-254-5252. Webinar ID is 16014052223#. And in order to raise your hand, if you're a call-in participant, you'll need to hit the *9 button.
Thank you. Please introduce item 600 and proceed with public comment.
Yes, item 600, the proposed fiscal year 2022 budget. If there's no staff presentation, I can go ahead and start taking public testimony.
Yes, please.
Okie doke. We already have 32 folks who have raised their hand. Each person will have 1 minute. SM, you'll be our first speaker, followed by Yasmin Obaid, followed by Cara Garcia. SM, please unmute yourself and you'll have 1 minute.
Hello, my name is Susana Paredes, and I'm part of I'm a youth council member with Mid City Can. The proposed budget maintains the status quo rather than setting a long-term agenda for much needed change in the city. I'm opposing the $9 million increase in the police department funding. People need services that will improve their lives, not more policing. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. We'll go to our next public speaker, Yasmin Obaid, followed by Cara Garcia, followed by Alex Abrams. There are 40 speakers in the queue. Yasmin, you'll have 1 minute. Please unmute.
Hello, folks.
Yes.
My name is Yasmin Abed, and I'm Mid-City Can Youth Organizer. I'm here today to urge you again to not increase the police budget by $19 million. It is enough that they have a budget of $600 million, and we're here today for the 10,000th time asking for that increase to stop. Start investing in our communities. We need more money in our schools, more money in our parks, more money in our streets and libraries, more money for our communities. We don't need more money for the police, and we're sick and tired of seeing the police budget increase while everyone else dying on the side, and while the city and our officials saying they don't have money for our people who can't pay bills, can't pay for food, can't pay for medical that they need. Stop increasing the police budget. That's it. That's all we're asking. Invest in our communities, not in the police. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you. We'll go to our next public speaker, Cara Garcia, followed by Elizabeth Washburn, followed by Julie Morgan. Cara, you'll have 1 minute. Please unmute yourself. There are 46 speakers in the queue.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Hello. Hello, I'm Cara Garcia. I am a barista youth trainer at Casa Familiar, and I wanted to ask the council to give a budget for the cultural corridor, because I not only use it every day, I also see the potential it has for social improvement and how vital it is for the local small businesses at San Isidro. And I think it has a lot of potential for cultural community and to give out in a better face for San Isidro. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll go to our next public speaker, Elizabeth Washburn. You're our next speaker, followed by Julie Morgan, followed by Captain John Dupray. 48 speakers in the queue. Elizabeth, you'll have 1 minute.
Hello, my name's Elizabeth Washburn. I work for the Timken Museum of Art as their teaching artist, and I also run a therapeutic nonprofit art organization called Combat Arts San Diego, where we provide therapeutic arts programming for veterans and system-engaged youth. Mental health has been essentially set aside as we've been trying to keep people from dying during the pandemic. But now that we have the vaccine rollout showing some positive movement, mental health challenges need not to be avoided because they will get exponentially worse with neglect. Art organizations in San Diego are already set up and ready to go to provide free and meaningful access to therapeutic arts programming. The Timken, for example, In addition to hosting 250,000 visitors each year with free admission, provides 3 therapeutic arts programming for veterans, incarcerated teens, seniors with Alzheimer's, and students in Title I schools. With Mayor Gloria's cut of 50% of funding for the arts, he is stymieing opportunities for the people on the margins to access arts programming. This is not a time to cut funds in art in San Diego. This is a time to double down on it.
Thank you so much. Julie Morgan is our next speaker, followed by Captain John Dupray, followed by Galaxy A51 5G. Julie, you'll have 1 minute.
Thank you. My name is Julie Morgan. I am a software designer at Qualcomm. For over 13 years, our family has supported San Diego Civic Youth Ballet. We were proud when our daughter was selected to be the Firebird in SDCYB's 2020 spring performance. But as fate would have it, the spring performance and many other shows were canceled due to the global pandemic. Nonetheless, SDCYB pivoted gracefully, quickly establishing Zoom classes, staging online remote performances, and providing students and the community a small solace during isolating times. I look forward, therefore, to your support of our community in this budget by prioritizing funding OSP and CCSD support at pre-pandemic levels, funding a citywide cultural plan, funding an experience plan for Balboa Park, and formally committing to achieve the Penny for the Arts culture plan within 5 years, starting this fiscal year. Thank you for the time.
Thank you so much. Captain John Dupray, followed by Galaxy A51 5G, followed by Lauren Yu. Captain Dupray, you'll have 1 minute. There are 48 speakers in the queue.
Thank you. My name is Captain John Dupray, and I'm the commanding officer of Naval Base Coronado. I'm here tonight to respectfully request the City of San Diego to re-enter its Memorandum of Understanding with the Port of San Diego and to fund enforcement of City Ordinance 021066, which applies to vessel anchorage at the Zuniga Shoal. As you all know, Zuniga is the last free anchorage located in San Diego, located within Council District 2, which is adjacent to Naval Air Station North Island, but outside the Navy's jurisdiction. Abandoned and unregistered boats congregate at this anchorage and wash shore on Navy property all year round. In the last 12 months, 10 boats have broken loose and washed ashore on Navy property, negatively impacting Naval Base Coronado's mission. In March of this year, Navy police arrested 2 individuals trespassing on federal property, stemming from one of these boats, and seized an unserialized handgun, narcotics, syringes, and over $44,000 in cash. These boats, once ashore, began breaking apart almost immediately and posed environmental and public safety hazards threatening our way of life. From 2019 to 2020, the city made $190,000 available for enforcement funding of this restricted anchorage in Zuniga. This money was put to good use, accounting for 13 vessels impounded. These preventive measures are cost-effective and require your attention and funding in this year's budget. City of San Diego's enactment and funding of enforcement.
I'm so sorry, your time has expired. I know a minute goes by fast, folks, but we do have 52 folks in the queue, and folks are joining as we speak. Galaxy A51 5G, that's how your phone is listed. You're our next speaker. You'll be followed by Lauren Goff, followed by Pina. Go ahead, you'll have 1 minute.
Francine Maxwell, Encanto resident. San Diego Lifeguards and Fire Rescue Department need a raise. We need to recruit African-American women to the Fire and Rescue Department, so they need to increase their outreach budget and they need to increase their strategic plan. We also need the council to consider Dr. John E. Warren at the points plan because workforce partnership has been a substitute for youthful employment. The policy program operated by the city of San Diego would be much better because workforce partnership is just for a select few of our children. We need the Commission on Youth Education and Employment so that there would be a place for youth. Remember, your budget reflects what's important to you. We know that you have to do some pension with the San Diego Police Department, but there's some other things that can be diverted to other things that are important to the community. Our youth are important.
Thank you, Francine. We'll go to our next speaker, Lauren Goff, followed by Pina, followed by Victoria Hamilton. 53 speakers in the queue. Lauren, you'll need to unmute yourself, please. You'll have 1 minute.
Hello. Last Wednesday, 2 San Diego police officers were caught on video tackling and punching a Black houseless man in La Jolla. Shame on the police for letting this happen. How much more evidence does the city council and the mayor need to show that police officers are useless? They're not equipped to handle homelessness, nor should they have to. Why do you keep funding them? Why do they even exist? This is a terrible thing. Why don't we fund programs like all the other callers have said that will actually help the community or help the houseless community? The police are just full of themselves, and we need to stop funding them. There is room in their budget to cut things. Like, why are we cutting all things else? Like the library. They do not need any more money. I am so against it. Like, put that money to good use. This is just the worst thing. Why are they going to keep killing black and brown people? It's the worst. I just think it's horrible.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your comments. We'll go to Kira Pina, followed by Victoria Hamilton, followed by Charlie Goldberg. Kira, you'll have 1 minute.
My name is Cara Pina. I'm a researcher and policy advocate at the Center on Policy Initiatives and the Community Budget Alliance. This year's proposed budget tries to restore the status quo rather than setting a long-term agenda for much needed change in the city to address the root causes of economic and racial inequality. The budget continues to add millions to an already bloated police budget while providing one-time Band-Aid solutions. One of every $3 is already spent on policing, and while police funding has increased by over $205 million over the past decade, spending on community resources has drastically decreased. This trend cannot continue. We call on you to move funding from the police department towards community-based solutions, including but not limited to implementing alternatives to policing that provide trauma-informed, community-based responses to crises. For example, moving the $3 million homeless outreach team funding into the Homeless Strategies Department for a non-law enforcement response, developing a youth violence intervention program, and creating a transitional age unit. We urge you to improve the budget by including more CPA priorities, making it one that is bold, and spending money in ways that will provide long-term solutions and a commitment to equity. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Victoria Hamilton, followed by Charlie Goldberg, followed by Goya Ortiz. There are 53 speakers in the queue. Victoria, you'll have 1 minute.
Good evening, council members. My name is Victoria Hamilton, and I'm representing the Balboa Park Conservancy Board of Directors. As you know, the mayor's proposed budget is the same devastating flat budget as last year, which is woefully inadequate to assist our partner arts and culture organizations of all sizes to recover, not only those residing in Balboa Park, but throughout the city and in our diverse San Diego communities. It has been a crushing year for all of us, and FY22 is not the year to underfund our most precious cultural assets, job creators, and tourism generators. Please lend us the support we need to recover and flourish. Thank you for your good work. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Ms. Hamilton. Charlie Goldberg is our next speaker, followed by Goya Ortiz, followed by Molly Turbovich Ridenour. 52 speakers in the queue. Charlie, you'll have 1 minute.
Good evening. My name is Charlie Goldberg from District 7 and a part of the Libraries Transform SD Coalition. I want to thank the mayor and the council for promises to return the library budget and make new needed investments in materials, programming, and staff training. That's a key step as the library helps San Diego recover. And I'm also happy to hear that you're looking at ways to help the library fix its broken staffing model. Like I said, they are important steps, but they do not address the woeful overall library budget. Or as Council Member Elo Rivera recently characterized it, a systemic divestment from the library system. I hope this year's efforts to return the budget and make new program and materials investments are just the first step in a long-range plan to fix that library divestment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Goya Ortiz is our next speaker, followed by Molly Turbovich Ridenour, followed by James Saba. 53 speakers in the queue. Goya, you'll have 1 minute.
Thank you. Good evening, City Council. My name is Goya Ortiz. I am a community development choreographer here at Casa Familiar in San Isidro. I'm calling today to advocate for funding for the CIP in regards to the cultural corridor in San Isidro. It is a project that we have been promoting with our community, and we would like to have it be an example for future infrastructure in our underserved areas that takes attention into infrastructure as well as the existing assets in the area, such as art and community advocacy. So I please ask you for funding for the CIP and to use as an example for investment in our communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Molly Turbovich Ridenour, followed by James Saba, followed by Gabriel. We have 51 speakers in the queue. Molly, you'll have 1 minute.
Good evening, Council President Campbell and council members. My name is Molly Turbovich Ridenour, President and CEO of the San Diego Civic Youth Ballet and a member of the Arts and Culture San Diego Coalition. We're home base in District 3. San Diego Civic Youth Ballet serves 1,000 students and families from every city council district. Our audiences and residents are residents and visitors from around the globe. The impact of the pandemic to our 75-year-old organization has been great. Funding from the city could mean the difference between survival and closure for a number of arts and culture organizations. Like STCYB, our colleagues throughout the city are nimble and will serve a critically important role in the recovery of our community. I look forward to your support of our community in this budget by prioritizing community, jobs, and economic development by funding OSP and CCSD support at pre-pandemic levels, funding a citywide cultural plan, funding an experience plan for Balboa Park, and formally committing to achieve the Penny for the Arts and Culture Plan within 5 years starting this fiscal year. Thank you.
Thank you. James Saba is our next speaker, followed by Gabriel, followed by Georgia Morgan. There are 51 speakers in the queue. James, you'll have a minute.
Good evening, Council President Campbell and Council members. My name is Jimmy Saba, and I'm the Executive Director of San Diego Junior Theater, the oldest youth theater in the nation. Junior Theater offers year-round programs for students between the ages of 3 and 18. In addition to offering camps, classes, and 6 full productions each season on our Balboa Park campus, Junior Theater also serves all 9 City Council districts through both outreach and in-reach programs. Arts and cultural organizations provide a critically important service that will put people back to work and help our community recover. After-school youth programs like Junior Theater also help ease the burden on working parents seeking to creative options for childcare. Please show your support by prioritizing community, jobs, and economic development by funding OSP and CCSD support to pre-pandemic levels, funding a citywide cultural plan, funding an experience plan for Balboa Park, and formally committing to achieve Penny for the Arts Culture Plan within 5 years, starting this fiscal year. Thank you.
Thank you. Gabriel, you're our next speaker, followed by Georgia Morgan, followed by Faye Marie Dockin. 50 speakers in the queue. Gabriel, you'll have 1 minute.
Hi, my name is Gabriel Foxler. I live in San Diego. Hi, my name is Gabriel. I live in San Diego. I am calling to say that the police budget should be cut. They should not be expanding the police budget. 1 in 3 city dollars spent on policing. That's ridiculous. It's completely unnecessary. And this fat budget for the police is meaning that other public services that we need are suffering under austerity, even though the police are just flush with cash. I mean, I think of how much money must be wasted just on cops idling their cars in parking lots, for instance. They love to do that. And they brutalize our community. It's a complete waste of money. Needs to be reallocated towards things that we actually need. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Georgia Morgan is our next speaker, followed by Faye Marie Dockin, followed by Steve Stopper. There are 52 speakers in the queue. Georgia, you'll have 1 minute.
Thank you, honorable council members. My name is Georgia Morgan. I have been a ballet dancer with the San Diego Civic Youth Ballet for the past 13 years. And not only do I feel like the studio is my second home, but it has brought me countless opportunities for self-expression and cultural enrichment. I was practically raised by ballet. I love being able to perform as the Sugar Plum Fairy in our Nutcracker for the past 2 years. And I dedicate up to 20 hours a week in mastering this art form. It is a part of who I am, and it is a part of what I proudly contribute to my community. And therefore, I believe that the arts are incredibly important to not only teach to our children, but also to enrich our wonderful city. I look forward, therefore, to your support of our community in this budget by prioritizing community, jobs, and economic development by funding OSP and CCSD support at pre-pandemic levels, funding a citywide cultural plan, funding an experience plan for Balboa Park, and formally committing to achieve the Penny for Arts and Culture Plan within 5 years starting this fiscal year. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, Georgia. We'll go to our next speaker, Faye Marie Dockin, followed by Steve Stopper, followed by Connor Franklin Ray. Shay, you'll have 1 minute. There are 52 speakers in the queue.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Shay Marie Dockin, and I live in San Diego County. 1 in 3 city dollars is spent on policing, with the police getting a larger share of the city budget than all community programs combined. The police budget has increased for the 11th year in a row and grown by $214.7 million since 2011 and is at nearly $600 million, which is just ridiculous. Our communities should have access to all the resources they need to be safe and to thrive. And this does not mean policing. This means that the city must invest in community-led violence prevention programs and ensure that the right professionals can respond to crises. SDPD should not respond to these crises. We must ensure that funding goes to the right services like mental health professionals, safe housing, youth programs, and more. We call on you to fund youth violence intervention programs, create a transitional age unit, and reallocate police funding to these initiatives and use the proposed budget to move functions such as the homeless outreach team out of the police department. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Stopper is our next speaker, followed by Connor Franklin Ray, followed by Carl Bunker. There are 53 speakers in the queue. Steve, you'll have 1 minute.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. My name is Steve Stopper. I'm the founder of Save Starlight. We are the 501c3 nonprofit organization that is repositioning the formerly abandoned historic Starlight open air amphitheater into a new and valid operational footprint. And when we reopen, Starlight will now serve as an event space for use to the San Diego's entire performance community challenged by the pandemic. This is not only by offering both an extremely technical and adaptable space to use, but even more importantly, operating under the simple economic equations for both performers and attendants that this new future performance demands. Starlight is a member of the Arts and Culture San Diego Coalition, and although Starlight is located in District 3, we serve all of San Diego. So on behalf of the coalition, I'm here to respectfully ask you to fund OSP and CCSD support to pre-pandemic levels, fund a citywide cultural plan, fund an experience plan for Balboa Park, and formally commit to the Penny for Arts and Culture Plan within 5 years starting this fiscal year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Connor Franklin Ray is our next speaker, followed by Carl Bunker, followed by Jennifer Eve Thorn. 54 speakers in the queue. Connor, you'll have 1 minute.
Thank you. Good evening, folks. My name is Connor Franklin Ray. I'm a volunteer with Sunrise Movement San Diego, which is a member of the Community Budget Alliance. I want to echo the community's opposition to the bloated police budget. More police do not keep our communities safe. We know that SDPD stops and searches Black people, Native American, and Pacific Islanders at 3 times the rate of white people, according to Campaign Zero. They're also more likely to use force against Black San Diegans, even after controlling for arrest rates. So it behooved the council to reallocate funding from this institution to programs outlined by the Community Budget Alliance that actually improve public safety and overall quality of life for San Diegans. Programs that our communities have been asking for years and continually denied, programs such as the Office for Child and Youth Success, and many of the others outlined here today and by the Community Budget Alliance. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Carl Bunker is our next speaker, followed by Jennifer Eve Thorn, followed by Alan Zeider. Carl, you have 1 minute, 52 speakers in the queue.
Good evening. My name is Carl Bunker. I'm the board president of Sacra Profana, a nonprofit professional choral organization and member of the Arts and Culture San Diego Coalition. Sacra Profana produces 5 to 7 concerts each season and provides education outreach to middle and high school choral students. Our concerts and programs reach districts 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9. We are a current OSP recipient and depend on these funds to keep our programs affordable for all participants. During the Budget Review Committee hearings, I was heartened to hear the support for arts and culture in our community and the recognition that arts and culture are a critically important service that will put people back to work, help our community and economy recovery. I look forward to your support of our community in this budget by prioritizing community, jobs, and economic development, by funding OSP and CCSD support at pre-pandemic levels, funding a citywide cultural plan, funding an experience plan for Balboa Park, and formally committing to achieving the Penny for Arts and Culture Plan within 5 years starting this fiscal year. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Jennifer Eve Thorn, followed by Alan Zeider, followed by phone number ending in 2830. There are 51 speakers in the queue. Jennifer, you'll have 1 minute.
Good evening, council members. My name is Jennifer Thorn, and I'm the artistic director of Moxie Theater in District 9. And I'm also a mom sitting here with my kids. Hey! Moxie is one of very few arts and culture organizations in the country dedicated to creating gender equality through our artistic and educational programming in districts across San Diego and nationally renowned as a crucial pipeline for work by women. The theater industry was among the first to close completely when the pandemic hit, and most of us remain 100% closed to this day. having never received permission to reopen at any capacity indoors. Our industry, which provides economic development and jobs, is devastated, to say the least. Please support our recovery by funding OSP and CCSD at pre-pandemic levels, rather than cutting support again by 50%, and formally commit to a penny for arts and culture. People can't be what they can't see, and the arts are how we become our best selves. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan Zeider is our next speaker, followed by phone number ending in 2830, followed by Catherine Canjo or Canyo. 53 speakers in the queue. Alan, you'll have a minute.
Thank you. Good evening, Council President Campbell and Budget Review Committee. My name is Alan Zeider, Executive Director of the NTC Foundation, overseeing the renovation and operation of 26 city-owned buildings at the Old Naval Training Center that are now Arts District Liberty Station. We're home to 90 artists, dance, music, museums, community groups, and galleries. They've all been providing free pandemic programming to the community, and they're just now reopening their galleries and studios. Every COVID business impact study has shown that the San Diego arts and culture sector has been and remains the hardest hit, with jobs lost and revenue decimated. The critical need is funds to safely reopen, rehire staff and artists, many of whom have been out of work for a year, restart programs, and transform business models to increase equity and community access to all the arts. My request to you is to follow what you recommended in your budget memos to restore the mayor's 50% pandemic cuts to the arts budget now and lead us back on a path to the arts.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your testimony. I know it goes by fast, folks. Everybody has a minute. We still have 52 speakers in the queue. Phone number ending in 2830, followed by Catherine Canjo or Canyo, followed by Mariah Williams. Phone number ending in 2830. You'll need to unmute yourself. *6. Thank you. Go ahead. You'll have 1 minute.
Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Rachel and I live in North Park here in San Diego. I am opposed to the $19 million police budget increase. Now more than ever, as we are seeing consistent human rights abuses being carried out by police forces all over the world, San Diego leadership needs to listen to the demands of their constituents and decrease, not increase, the bloated police budget. We need to invest this money and more into youth programs, affordable housing, community wellness, the arts, and tackling the climate crisis. This money should change the lives of San Diegans in a positive way instead of continuing to fuel the negative impact we already know that policing has on communities today through their abuse of power and violence. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll go to our next speaker, Catherine. You'll have 1 minute, followed by Mariah Williams, followed by Carrie Fox, 52 speakers in the queue.
Council President Campbell, council members, hello. I'm Catherine Canjo from the Museum of Contemporary Art in San Diego, a proud member of Arts and Culture San Diego Coalition. MCASD is expanding its 80-year-old museum, meaning we will employ and serve more San Diegans than ever. We are sited in La Jolla, District 1, and downtown District 3, but we serve all council districts with our programs and through our educational outreach. You've heard the arts are essential. They are a humanizing service that will put people back to work, help our community heal, and drive economic recovery. I join so many others in requesting your support of our community in this budget to prioritize community jobs and economic development by funding OSP and CCSD support at pre-pandemic levels, funding a citywide cultural plan, funding experience plan for Balboa Park, and formally committing to achieve Penny for the Arts cultural plan within 5 years, starting this fiscal year.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Mariah Williams, followed by Carrie Fox, followed by phone number ending in 9040, 50 speakers in the queue. Mariah, you'll have a minute.
Hi, my name is Mariah Williams. I'm here representing the Japanese Friendship Garden Balboa Park, as well as all arts and culture organizations. I am here to just amplify how important arts and culture is to our community and our youth. I propose increasing the arts and culture budget. As we've seen through COVID, arts, culture, and wellness are an important part in keeping us going. Funding like this can help us provide pop-ups, exhibits, art supplies to communities who may not otherwise be able to afford a museum or art experience. I just want to thank you for your time and considering increasing that budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie Fox is our next speaker, followed by phone number ending in 9040, followed by Kenya Sevilla. Carrie, you'll have a minute.
Good evening. I'm Carrie Fox, Deputy Director at the New Children's Museum downtown, a member of Arts and Culture San Diego Coalition. We're an arts-based children's museum focused on early learning through art and play. We commission contemporary artists to create immersive art installations that act as interactive playscapes for children. We serve each of the 9 city council districts by engaging children in our downtown location, as well as working with social service organizations and schools throughout the county. Arts and culture are critical, important service that will put people back to work, help our community heal, and drive economic recovery. We look forward to your support in this budget and ask that you fund OSP and CCSD support at pre-pandemic levels, fund a citywide cultural plan, fund an experience plan for Balboa Park, and formally commit to achieve the Penny for Arts and Culture plan within 5 years, starting this fiscal year. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. We'll go to phone number ending in 9040, followed by Kenya Sevilla, followed by Alexi Lines. There are 48 speakers in the queue. 9040, you'll need to unmute yourself with *6, please. Thank you. You'll have a minute.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, City Council. My name is Sarah Farruk, a local San Diego community organizer and advocate. As concerned constituents, we are calling to ask you to listen to us when we tell you that increasing the police budget doesn't help your most impacted communities or, quite honestly, anyone. Public safety means access to an equitable and well-funded education, affordable housing, a healthy and unpolluted environment, not more police in our streets. Since our council members aren't taking the time to think of creative solutions, we'll give you some. Supporting tenants, education, fund grant writer, and transportation planner positions to support climate action plan and implementation, and so many other more. I can go on and on and on. Listen to us when we tell you that we don't need to waste our taxes and our money on policing. Thank you.
Thank you. Kenya Sevilla is our next speaker, followed by Alexi Lines, followed by Sandia Keller. Kenya, you'll have 1 minute.
Good evening. My name is Kenya Sevilla. I'm asking the mayor and the council to support the creation of the San Isidro Cultural Corridor as a CIP added to the project priority list of the council member Vivian Moreno for fiscal year 2022. As a community member in San Isidro, I envision a community where we have access to greening, safety, places to interact, public art, and overall, I believe in beautifying our community with the cultural corridor as a way to increase security and joint efforts in fighting for air pollution. This is a huge opportunity to prioritize the people with walkability improvements within the San Isidro Historic Village in order to connect the commercial area along West San Isidro Boulevard and the transit-oriented development around the Via Trolley Station. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll go to Alexi Lines, followed by Sandia Keller, followed by Melanie Burrows. 48 speakers in the queue. Alexi, you'll have 1 minute.
Hello, council members and fellow San Diegans. My name is Alexi and I'm a resident of District 4. Currently, 1 out of every $3 of San Diego spending is spent on policing, even though crime rates are generally trending down. This year, the mayor's budget increases that investment further, despite the city council making a promise to reevaluate priorities last year. During last year's budget cycle, demands for reallocating police budget were put off. We were told it was too late in the process to make changes. This year, we are making our voices heard as early as possible, and yet there is still talk of needing more time to assess. To that, I say the time is now. Rather than continuing to invest in the status quo, I'm asking the mayor and city council to invest in our community. I ask that the mayor and city council divert some of the funds for police towards alternatives that will have more impact on the safety and well-being of our community, such as rent assistance, mental health services, and other city services such as library or the arts. Please end the status quo and yes, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your testimony. Sandia Keller is next, followed by Melanie Burrows, followed by Ilana Turner. 48 speakers in the queue. Sandia, you'll have a minute.
Good evening, council members. My name is Sandia Keller, and I'm a proud parent of a chorister who's been a member of the San Diego Children's Choir for the past 5 years. It was thanks to their generous scholarship program that she could even attend because we couldn't afford the fees. It gave her opportunities to perform at Balboa Park, the San Diego Zoo, the Copley Symphony Hall, and represent San Diego even at choral festivals outside the city. And so I can't even begin to put in words how much this has meant to her and our family. She's a graduating senior. I know that this experience has prepared her not only as a great musician, but for her future and as a young lady ready to, meet life with aplomb. So please continue to support them. They are the heart and soul of this city, and our youth is dependent on these type of programs for their development and their self-esteem. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker, Melanie Burchby, followed by Ilana Turner, followed by Jean Hui. 47 speakers in the queue. Melanie, you'll have a minute.
Thank you. My name is Melanie Burchby. I am a resident of District 1 and a member of Showing Up for Racial Justice San Diego. More specifically, I am a white suburban stay-at-home mom who is calling to demand that you defund the SDPD. My children do not deserve to be safer from police violence than their Black, brown, and unhoused peers, and yet we know from volumes of data, as well as firsthand videotaped accounts, that is exactly what they are. The Campaign Zero report that this City Council reviewed on April 15th has proven that SDPD officers are more likely to stop, search, and use force against Black, brown, API, LGBTQ+, and disabled San Diegans. This is completely unacceptable. When we say defund, what we're calling for is simple. Stop making policing bigger. Start taking it apart by redirecting resources where they will help people, such as housing assistance, climate change initiatives, maintenance of parks and libraries, and the arts. If you won't, we'll elect representatives who will. We moms talk a lot, so what do you want us saying about you? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ilana Turner is our next speaker, followed by Jean Hui, followed by Amy Hayes. 46 speakers in the queue. Ilana, you'll have 1 minute.
Hello, council members. My name is Ilana Turner, and I'm a resident of District 3. I'm calling to ask you to oppose the $19 million expansion to the police budget and instead prioritize funding for affordable housing, healthcare, including community-based mental health services, universal basic income, public libraries, the arts, and youth programs. We know that the safest communities are not the ones with the most police, but the ones with the most resources. It's time to reallocate funds from the police to community programs that are capable of addressing the root causes of social problems that stem from economic inequality and systemic racism. The ongoing police violence against Black and brown community members is a painful evidence that police do not keep our community safe. It's time to invest in real alternatives to policing based on care rather than on repression and violence.
Thank you. We'll go to Jean Hui, followed by Amy Hayes, followed by Susana Paredes. Jean Hui, you'll have 1 minute. There are 45 speakers in the queue.
My name is Jean Hui. I am the Community Budget Alliance organizer at the Center on Policy Initiative. Last week on the news, we saw a video of a DPD police officer punching a Black homeless man in La Jolla. This is another example why the police should not be responding to these calls. Clearly, they cannot de-escalate themselves. But this is not something new. You already know that the DPD unfairly stopped Black, brown, API, LGBTQ, and disabled folks. It is past time for you to take action. The institution of policing is inherently biased, rate classes, and racist. The system of policing is designed to criminalize people for being poor. Criminalize people and having police respond to most issues does not have nothing to help people and does not deal with the root issue. And that at the CBA, we advocate for building a system where the city support the unhoused community. A very small step you can take is moving the funding from the homeless outreach team into the homeless strategy department to address the homelessness rather than policing the unhoused. The department can be centralized point contact, working with community groups who are already on the ground, building trust and helping people who are unhoused.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your testimony. We still have 44 speakers in the queue. I know a minute goes by fast, folks. Each speaker will have a minute. Amy Hayes, followed by Susana Paredes, followed by Veronica Murphy. Amy, you'll have 1 minute.
Good evening, council members. This is Amy Hayes with Save Our Heritage Organization. As the countywide historic preservation advocacy nonprofit, we serve all 9 council districts, protecting and raising awareness for San Diego's cultural and historical resources and landscapes. And we operate the Marston House in Balboa Park and Adobe Chapel in Old Town. The arts and culture industry will play a tremendous role in bringing back San Diego's economy, so we must invest in what will bring a return to our communities and to the city overall. And we know arts and culture brings a high return. Please prioritize community, jobs, and economic development by funding OSP and CCSD support to pre-pandemic levels and provide the much needed certainty and stability by formally committing to achieve the Penny for Arts and Culture plan within 5 years, starting this year. The arts and culture community needs your support, especially now. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker, Susana Paredes, followed by Veronica Murphy, followed by Carrie Cottrell. 43 speakers in the queue. Susana, you'll have 1 minute.
Hello, my name is Susana Paredes, founder and executive director of a local nonprofit called Vanguard Culture that works to advance San Diego's creative industry workforce. Many of us are here today to ask for the return of pre-pandemic level funding for the arts, but I'm proposing something completely different. What if instead of cutting the arts budget, we doubled it or tripled it? Undeniably, the pandemic exposed just how vital the arts are to our overall well-being. And no matter how choppy of a Zoom ride it's been with virtual events, people still turn to the arts to help them get through the stressors of the pandemic, social injustice, and more. From cooking to film, dance, theater, music, we could not have survived without the arts. The arts matter. Artists are second responders, and they saved us. We don't just need pre-pandemic level funding, we need the kind of bold action that a major city like San Diego deserves. Studies show that cultural tourists stay longer and spend more money in the cities they visit. We need to elevate our reputation as a cultural destination in order to bring back meaningful TOT dollars and put San Diego on the map as the place to be once the world opens back up.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your testimony. We still have 45 speakers in the queue. Veronica Murphy will be followed by Carrie Cottrell, followed by Pat Wilson. Veronica, you have 1 minute.
Hello, I'm Veronica Murphy, the Artistic Director of Write Out Loud. We are located in District 3, but we bring literary programming to young people in all of the council districts. Arts and culture provide one of the most important means for people in the community to return to what feels like normalcy after this devastating year. Arts and culture organizations turned on a dime to bring quality virtual arts programming to adults and children, but it's not the same as live. In order for the arts and culture organizations to be able to help restore the heart and soul of San Diego, I ask that you all please vote to fund OSP and CCSD to pre-pandemic levels and increase that funding in the future. Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you. Carrie Cottrell, you're our next speaker, followed by Pat Wilson, followed by Viviana PG. Carrie, you'll have 1 minute. We have 45 speakers in the queue.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President Campbell and council members. My name is Carrie Cottrell. I'm the Executive Director of San Diego Children's Choir and a proud member of the Arts and Culture San Diego Coalition. I've met with the majority of you over the past month to talk about the choir and how we give over 1,400 children access to quality choral music education. These children live in diverse communities and represent every single city district. Like many arts and culture organizations in our community, this past year, the choir has faced a precarious and uncertain future, and we're not out of the woods yet. Literally every penny for the arts is critical to our recovery. I appreciated hearing from you individually and at the Budget Review Committee hearings, the resounding support for arts and culture in our community, and that arts and culture are a critically important service that will put people back to work and help our community recover. I look forward, therefore, to you supporting our community in this budget by funding OSP and CCSD at pre-pandemic levels. Thank you.
Thank you. Pat Wilson is our next speaker, followed by Viviana PG, followed by phone number ending in 8826. 44 speakers in the queue. Pat, you'll have 1 minute.
Hi, I'm Pat Wilson. I live in District 2. Invest in libraries. Libraries are essential to strong communities. More than just a place for books, they provide space and resources for children to learn, adults to acquire new skills, for seniors to socialize, and for communities to come together. They are safe spaces after school, on a hot day, or for folks who just need a place to sit for a while. Especially, but not only in under-resourced communities, they provide access to the internet and computers, which might not be available elsewhere, at least not without cost. Libraries enable people to build better lives for themselves and their families and to dream big dreams. Thank you for your support throughout this budget process. It's been very encouraging. But now is the time to commit to move towards the promise of the library ordinance. Imagine what libraries could do if we resolve to fund them properly. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Viviana PG, followed by phone number ending in 8826, followed by Julie Hendricks. 43 speakers in the queue. Viviana, you'll have 1 minute.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Viviana PG. I live in District 7, and I serve on the Teen Council at the La Jolla Playhouse. Schools have cut so many arts programs that are outlets for students. The arts are just as important as any other subject in school. It instills life skills such as leadership, empathy, interaction, and an understanding of other people. including people who don't necessarily look like us, so we can better understand each other and learn from each other. It helps bridge the gap between young people that wouldn't have been connected otherwise. The arts are critical to our growth and development. It helps us become more well-rounded people. Please, please support the arts.
Thank you so much. We'll go to phone number ending in 8826, followed by Julie Hendricks, followed by Carlos Sandoval. 42 speakers in the queue. 8826. You'll need to unmute yourself by hitting *6. Go ahead. You'll have a minute.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Amy Cruz, and I live in District 3. The proposed budget maintains the status quo rather than setting a long-term agenda for much needed change in the city. I'm opposing the $19 million increase in the police budget. People need services that will improve their lives and not more policing. 1 in $3 city dollars is spent on policing, with the police getting a larger share of the city budget than all community programs combined. The police budget has increased for the 11th year in a row and grown by $214 million since 2011. More police did not keep our community safe. We know that SCPD stops and searches Black people, Native American, and Pacific Islanders at 3 times the rate of white people, according to Campaign Zero. They are also more likely to use force against Black San Diegans, even after controlling for arrest rates. We're asking you to please improve the budget by including more CBA priorities and making it one that is bold and spending money in ways that will provide long-term solutions.
Thank you so much. Julie Hendricks is our next speaker, followed by Carlos Sandoval, followed by Cesca Kabuhat. 40 speakers in the queue. Julie, you'll have 1 minute.
Hi, thank you. Hello, City Council members. My name is Julie Hendricks, District 7. I urge you to listen to your constituents and revise the proposed budget. Our city made national headlines last week when 2 police officers violently attacked a Black houseless neighbor, showing very clearly why more money in the police budget does not equate to making San Diego safer for its citizens. The proposed police budget does not adequately address the needs of the people. As stated by the IBA, quote, funding was not specifically reallocated, nor were services performed by the department reassigned to non-law enforcement service providers. It's not enough for our leaders to say we can't make rash cuts and quick decisions year after year. Please strongly consider the priorities presented by the CBA and CPI. They've done so much of the work down to the dollar amount to show how San Diego can actually invest in our community and show up for its people, including but not limited to more funding for youth violence prevention programs, mental health services, and funding for community partners who are on the ground already providing community care. Thank you.
Thank you. Carlos Sandoval, followed by Cesca, followed by phone number ending in 8160. 40 speakers in the queue. Carlos, you'll have 1 minute.
Hi, I'd like to echo calls to defund the police and move those funds to priorities outlined by the Community Budget Alliance, as well as the Cultural Corridor in San Isidro. But I want to highlight how after the May 5th public comment, after 150 speakers called in all to defund the police and reallocate funds, but Stephen Whitbird made no comments. The next day at a District 3 forum on the budget, after dozens of people echoed those same calls to reallocate police funding, Council member Whitburn said, "I hear you, but I also hear people concerned about violence in downtown." No one on either call mentioned downtown violence. Who are these imaginary constituents that you heard? Why are you making people up in your head? We're watching what you say, homie. We're not asking you. We're telling you. Defund the police and invest in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Cesca is our next speaker, followed by phone number ending in 8160, followed by Alejandra Amador. 40 speakers. Cesca, you'll have 1 minute.
Hello, this is Cesca from District 3 with the Sunrise Movement. I'm calling in support of the Office of Youth Success to secure $350,000 for this office. I ask that you defund the police budget and invest in our youth to fund long-term youth opportunities and programs, fund the youth violence intervention programs, invest in our youth to reduce racial disparities for youth south of the 8, and create a transitional age unit. These are the alternatives reimagined by our own community members away from policing, and you can make that happen. I call on Kate, on Campbell, and Von Wilpert to sign on to the Office of Youth Services. And for those listening, go to recallgen.com. She works for special interests and dirty fossil fuel money. She sets the agenda for these very meetings, and we have 2 more weeks to get your signatures. Thank you.
Phone number ending in 8160, followed by Alejandro Amador, followed by 8970, 39 speakers in the queue. 8160, you'll need to unmute yourself with *6.
Hi, my name is Alicia. I'm from San Diego and I'm calling from San Diego A's. The reason I'm calling is because I don't agree on the budget spendings that are being made today. That is because there are many families in my situation that are really need in either housing or housing maintenance, any rules that need to be applied on codes, on housing codes. Right now, I'm having to live in my home, which smells like sewer. And I have a 4 and 6-year-old, which is, could be a very hazardous situation for them, which could cause them to be sick. And I don't agree with our mayor said about having sexy streets. What's that about? I mean, instead of making sexy streets, you guys should be doing more affordable housing, maybe updating and making sure that regulations of maintenance codes, apartment codes, whatever type of home it is, to be up to date and actually enforced. I mean, all I really want is just for my kids to grow up in a better situation and a better home and don't have to worry about this when they're in their the age that I am at right now. So I just want more affordable housing and maintenance codes to be up to date. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your testimony. Alejandro, you're our next speaker, followed by 8970, followed by Nguyen.
Hi there. My name is Serena Vega, and I come here today to request the creation of the Cultural Corridor in San Isidro as a capital improvement project by Councilmember Vivian Moreno. Not only is the Cultural Corridor an existing hub for pedestrian residential activity, it acts as a nexus between the Bayer Trolley Station, many neighborhoods, a recreation center, a park, and San Isidro Boulevard. This project will also help to promote the use of public transportation, which will lead to additional reductions in air pollution in a community that is heavily impacted by binational sources from both sides of the US-Mexico border. This project ties together art, culture, and safety. Improvements for the public right-of-way, specifically for urban greening, that enhance existing private property efforts along this corridor can also help mitigate air pollution in the area and lessen the exposure and health impacts to community members who live and travel through this hub. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker, 8970, followed by Nguyen, followed by SD Hip Hop 5K, 8970. There are 36 speakers in the queue. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Max, and I'm calling for all kids going to bed right now in San Diego. We matter. The offices of child and youth is important for the city to think about kids like me and their families. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Nguyen is our next speaker, followed by SD Hip Hop 5K, followed by 5715.
Hello, my name is Nguyen, member of Viet Vote and Hillcrest Indivisible, and I live in North Park District 3. I am calling to oppose the budget as presented with its $19 million increase for the police department while simultaneously cutting funding in other city departments. An armed and armored SDPD group gathered and beat a homeless Black man in La Jolla. The San Diego Public Libraries are offering free checkouts of Wi-Fi hotspots. That $19 million can be better invested to educate, heal, and rebuild our hurt communities. You have calls tonight asking to save the arts in San Diego. I say fulfill the priorities of the people's budget as prescribed by the Community Budget Alliance, and San Diego will truly be a safer city. And maybe be the world-class city that Mayor Todd Gloria and the City Council tried to convince us we are.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker. There are 34 speakers in the queue. SD Hip Hop 5K, followed by 5715, followed by Christine.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Carlton Overstreet Jr. I'm the chairman of the San Diego Hip Hop 5K. This is an open invite and also a thank you to all of our community members defending and speaking for Black Lives Matter, which we do. We are all inclusive in this call as we're looking to unite everyone. This is an open invitation to the community to explore the People's Exhibit, which is happening this week up until May the 19th. come and experience what we've been going through. Continue to support the arts. Can we imagine Andra Day, a recent Golden Globe winner from San Diego, not having access to the arts? Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll go to our next speaker, 5715, followed by Christine, followed by Sophia Kirana. 5715, you'll need to unmute yourself with *6. There are 33 speakers in the queue.
Good afternoon, Council President and Council members. My name is Watson, and I am with YouthWill, a member of the Community Budget Alliance. I am calling in support of the Community Budget Alliance priorities. Our communities need investment, not policing. So invest in housing, invest in environment, workers' justice, and youth. I'm specifically calling youth to support the Office of Child and Youth Success. This office will allow our city to establish a children and youth framework within the city of San Diego. It would also allow us to connect existing children and youth programs, as well as coordinate with other entities such as schools, community organizations, and so on and so forth, to ensure that young people are being prioritized. I wanted to thank those of you who have added the Office of Child and Youth Success to your budget memos. So thank you, Councilmember Campillo, Shan Ila Rivera, Monica Montgomery Stepp, Vivian Moreno, Joe LaCava, and Stephen Whitburn for adding this office to your memos. And I want to call on Council President Campbell and Councilmember Kay and Ron Wilbert.
I'm so sorry, but everybody just has 1 minute. We still do have 32 speakers in the queue. Christine, you're our next speaker, followed by Sophia Kirana, followed by Kip Lund. Christine, you have a minute.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for serving our community. My name is Christine DePocter. Along with being an arts enthusiast, I represent San Diego Civic Youth Ballet. Like many of the arts organizations represented here, SDCYB has suffered from being shuttered. According to science, research shows those regularly exposed to art and performing art have experienced dramatic dips in cortisol, which is a hormone, increased production of which can affect not only well-being, mental well-being, but sleep, digestion, and accelerate the process of aging, not good, of the skin. So therefore, again, dips in cortisol, exposure to art. I look forward to your support of our community in this budget by prioritizing community, jobs, and economic development by funding OSP and CCSD and support at pre-pandemic levels, funding a citywide cultural plan and experience plan for Balboa Park, and formally committing to achieve Penny for the Arts culture plan within 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Sophia Kirana, followed by Kip Lund, followed by Alex Kane. Sophia, you'll have a minute. We have 31 speakers in the queue.
Hi, my name is Sophia Carana, and I am a graduating senior of the San Diego Children's Choir. I've been a member of this choir for 5 years, and throughout this time, I've had experiences that have given me the self-esteem, confidence, and happiness that I will use to carry on in my life. Throughout my time with the San Diego Children's Choir, I've been a recipient of scholarships without which I wouldn't have been able to participate in this choir at all. And I know firsthand how much this experience has done for me, and that how important it is for other students as well to have funding so these scholarships are available to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll go to Kip Lund, followed by Alex Kane, followed by 6685, 31 speakers in the queue. Kip, you'll have a minute.
Thank you, Mrs. Malland. Last Wednesday, we saw STPD punch and beat up a Black homeless man in La Jolla. We do not need 8 police officers to respond to this kind of call. Please do not increase the San Diego police budget. What if instead of violent establishments such as police and prisons, we created systems of support in our communities? I would like the $19 million to instead fund the Office of Child and Youth Success to foster our future generations. Goals of the office could include increasing access to quality childcare, ensuring food and housing security for new families, and providing pathways to meaningful jobs for youth. I would like the $19 million to instead keep the libraries open so that all people may have access to computers and Wi-Fi. I would like the $19 million to instead fund the arts program spoken of tonight. I would like the $19 million to instead go to teachers so that they may make a livable wage and enrich our youth further. Thank you all for your time. Thank you all for your work in ensuring a public municipality. Thank you all. Please defund the police.
Thank you. Alex Kane is our next speaker, followed by 6685, followed by Andrew Matshiner, 31 speakers in the queue. Alex, you'll have a minute.
Hi, my name is Alex Kane. I live in La Jolla. Thank you for this opportunity. I oppose the 19 million in increased police department funding. Mr. Mayor, you're on record saying that cutting the police budget will take years. We've been hearing that for years. Last year, the budget increased by $29 million, and the police budget has increased by 50% over the past 10 years, from 400 million to now 600 million. 1 in 3 city dollars is now spent on policing. What does that money get us? The Campaign Zero study already discussed showed that a pattern of systemic discrimination by the police against people of color, immigrants, and unhoused people. This isn't surprising because the root model followed by our police department is based on slave patrols, and modern policing arose to depress immigrants. We need to replace that with spending on social programs, for example, housing and tenants' rights, supporting tenant and landlord education, and funding feasibility studies for long-term solutions like a rent registry and a vacancy tax.
Thank you, sir. We'll go to our next speaker, 6685, followed by Andrew Mattshiner, followed by Justin Davis. 30 speakers in the queue. 6685, please unmute yourself with *6. You'll have 1 minute.
Good evening, honorary council members. My name is Alice Delatorre. I'm a proud member of the San Ysidro Women's Club and a retired school administrator from San Ysidro. I come before you to humbly plead for the thousands of students in San Ysidro community who for the most part live below the poverty line and have many financial and educational needs, one of which is a library. A library to a student that doesn't have a desk is important. A library to a student that doesn't see books in the home is necessary. A library to a student that needs a safe place to study is critical. A library to a student that doesn't have Wi-Fi at home is vital. Yes, the library is important, necessary, critical, and vital for the students of the San Ysidro community. I urge the council to fully fund the San Ysidro Library. I also am in total support of the San Ysidro Police Department and ask for the department to be fully funded. Thank you very much, and I hope I have a library and a police department strong and healthy. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Andrew Mattshiner, followed by Justin Davis, followed by Michelle. 29 speakers in the queue. Andrew, you'll have a minute. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening, council members. My name is Andrew Mattshiner. I'm with Showing Up for Racial Justice. As a quick note, it would be nice to see our city council members when speaking with them, something that's typically the case, but is not the case tonight. Tonight, we have heard again and again calls from San Diegans to fund vital programs to uplift our communities, from affordable housing to mental health programs, to theater and dance, to the San Ysidro Cultural Corridor, to environmental issues. These programs are many and significant. These programs and more in our city, however, suffer from the $599 million gorilla on our collective backs as a city. That is $599 million that go to policing in the city of San Diego. In a city where less than 5% of 911 calls are for serious violent crimes, our city council continues massive runaway funding on officers equipped with handcuffs and guns and trained to use force and violence. This is not only ineffective in many cases, it also can be very harmful, as seen most recently when SPD officers repeatedly punched a Black unhoused man, Jesse Evans, in the head in La Jolla last week. So I say it clearly, as so many others have tonight: defund the police and invest in programs that make our communities livable, healthy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your testimony. Justin Davis is our next speaker, followed by Michelle, followed by 5362, 29 speakers in the queue. Justin, you'll have 1 minute. Justin, you'll need to unmute yourself to speak. You'll have 1 minute. I've asked you to unmute yourself. I'm going to go ahead and...
I can hear. Sorry. Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, members of the City Council, for your support of the arts and culture. My name is Justin Davis, and I live in North Park. I'm speaking tonight because the old globe simply changed my life. I'm a combat veteran who served in Iraq. My severe untreated PTSD led to substance abuse, attempted suicide, and homelessness. Thankfully, I sought treatment at the SDVA. While receiving treatment and living at the Veterans Village of San Diego, I experienced the Globe's outreach program, which inspired me to become the first person to participate in the Veterans Apprenticeship Program at the Globe. The old Globe gave me a chance, gave me hope, and more significantly, they gave me community. After 3 years working for the Department of Defense, I have an amazing, abundant life that the Globe was a huge part of helping me achieve. Now it's my turn to show up for them in their time of need. The arts are more than entertainment. They change people's lives, but programs like this one cannot be experienced without adequate support. Please restore funding for the arts and culture. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle is our next speaker, followed by 5362, followed by Juan Ochoa. Michelle, you'll have 1 minute. There are 29 speakers in the queue.
Hi, my name is Michelle. I live in District 3. I would hope that every member of the City Council at least watched the horrific video of one of your residents, Jesse Evans, being brutally attacked by the very police that you're considering giving another $19 million to. They're in the midst of trying to justify getting that absurd windfall, yet they still have the gall to assault the man who never even should have been approached. They're so certain that they can get away with unchecked abuse and still be rewarded with whatever money they ask for. If they're willing to commit these atrocities while you're deciding on their funding, how can you believe any promises they might make about better behavior in the future? They're proving to you that they will abuse your residents with impunity. Giving them more money as they continue to terrorize the people that you're supposed to represent only encourages that behavior. Honestly, if city money is only going towards things that hurt, not help the people should take it upon themselves to prevent the city getting the revenue that gets given to the police. The tourism industry would be a great place to start. Thank you.
Thank you. Phone number ending in 5362, followed by Juan Ochoa, followed by Christina Perry.
Hi, good evening. My name is Judith Howell. Hi, good evening. My name is Judith Howell, and I'm urging the City Council to reject the mayor's proposed budget. Redefining public safety means creating a system where everyone is truly safe. Safety at its core comes from having a home to live in, community support, food on the table, a healthy environment, and equitable job opportunities. To do this, we need to move money from the bloated police budget into these areas and implement alternatives to policing that provide trauma-informed community-based responses to crises. Defunding art programs, cutting library hours, and increasing police funds will not make us safe. Please stand with CBA and reject the mayor's budget. We deserve better, and the most targeted people in our districts are counting on you. Thank you.
Thank you. Juan Ochoa, followed by Christina Perry, followed by Kevin Lawrence. 27 speakers in the queue. Juan, you'll have 1 minute.
Hi, my name is Juan Ochoa. I am the Social Equity Coordinator for Casa Familiar here in San Isidro. I'm asking the mayor and council to support the creation of San Isidro's Cultural Corridor as a CIP added to the priority list of Councilmember Vivian Moreno for fiscal year 2022. It is important to me to develop a safe place to walk and thrive as a community. There's a dire need to fix the infrastructure in this specific area, such as the walkways, and install lighting to reduce violence and increase overall safety and promote a healthy and beautiful environment so that our community may build and be proud. This project is essential for the improvement of the quality of life for all those who live here and visit, and that is why it's important to all of us. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. We'll go to Christina Perry, followed by Kevin Lawrence, followed by Kath Blue. 26 speakers in the queue. Christina, you'll have 1 minute. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Christina Perry, and I am a woman of color and a teacher. I am calling to ask that this council and our mayor would rethink this $19 million proposed budget increase. I am encouraged to call because of what happened to Jesse Evans, the unhoused man that was beat up by the police on Wednesday. Like I said, I'm a teacher in East County, and I would like to advocate for the peaceful working class people of the community, especially those of us that are of color. I'm asking that this police budget would separate itself from what is best for the community of San Diego. This money should not go to the police. Please do not reward the police with more money. They do not deserve it. Our community deserves better. Thank you for your service, and please make better choices for what is best for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin Lawrence, followed by Kat Blue, followed by Ali Erdman.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Hi there. Yeah, my name is Kevin Lorenz, District 1 resident, president of the San Diego Progressive Democratic Club, and I'm calling to oppose the $19 million increase in police budgets. So many people have called in here today, all talking about different things that need to be funded. But the one thing that there seems to be consensus on not funding is the police, more money to the police. Last year, we took COVID funds, 27 million or so of it, and gave it all to the police. Mayor Falconer's budget, which Mayor Gloria seems to be continuing with this idea. And I got to be honest with you, council members, Marnie, Steve, and Raul, I gotta ask how much longer all three of you are going to go along with this. Like, you don't have to do this. Okay, the POA are fascists and they're white supremacists. You don't have to do what they say. Okay, like the Democratic Party that helped you all win all said not to give more money to cops. They all, the party that said not to help Monica Montgomery. Okay, all three of you have a choice. You have real power here, and you can choose not to help these
Thank you
police
so
that keep
much.
harming Black people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Kat Blue is our next speaker, followed by Ali Erdman, followed by Ilka. Kat, you'll have 1 minute.
Cat Blue, District 4. We've been calling on you to disempower, defund, and divest from police, and instead to fund, empower, and invest in community. Remove funds from SDPD and apply them instead to services to address social problems and to oppose police violence and other abuses. Many of you hold your seats today because we believed you would defund police. When we call police for help, we risk someone we know being hurt or killed. I made this mistake myself, and it nearly destroyed my family. But if we develop alternative crisis response systems, community education programs, and collective conflict resolution opportunities, we can start to exclude police from our lives. To do this, we need more funding for groups to monitor police conduct and challenge their legitimacy. We also need community services to respond to police violence when it happens. Please listen this time. Use the people's budget as an example.
Thank you. Ali Erdman, followed by Ilka, followed by Mike Waters. We have 25 speakers in the queue. Ali, you'll have 1 minute.
Hi, yes, thank you. My name's Ali, and I'm a volunteer with Hillcrest Indivisible, and I live in District 2. I just want to reiterate what so many people have already eloquently said. We don't need more police on our streets. We need investment in community resources like behavioral health centers, housing, the arts, education, climate action, and policies that actually make people safer and our communities more vibrant. It's unconscionable that the city is proposing adding even more money, $19 million more on the police department, who have killed over 200 civilians in our streets, all the while cutting libraries and librarians that so many, especially low-income children, depend on, especially during COVID and when they're depending on at-home schooling. I also believe that $5 million added to the climate action plan is just woefully inadequate to meet the severity of the climate crisis. The city budget should reflect our values and put the health of communities and the environment at the forefront. I believe this budget will only fuel more violence and racial and economic disparities. So please, please listen to your constituents and adopt a budget that will work for all San Diegans. Thank you.
Thank you. Ilka is our next speaker, followed by Mike Waters, followed by Maria S. Cervantes. Ilka, you'll have 1 minute.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, my name is Ilka Weston. I won't even go over all the things I actually am involved in and do, but one thing I will call out very plainly, this is the 11th year we're giving raises to individuals who have failed us. When a person works to get a job, they get an education, they pay for their additional needs, just like our teachers. Do our police? No, they do not. They have let us down year after year, attacking people of color. And it disgusts me that this is where Mayor Todd Gloria, who knows me, as does everyone on city council, knows me, is going to do. That 19 million should be pulled, and should put every police officer on probation until they get anger management, a psych evaluation, and have counseling with approved people by outside companies. Thank you very
so
much.
Ilka. Thank you. Mike Waters, followed by Maria S. Cervantes, followed by 0672. Mike, you'll have a minute. 25 speakers in the queue.
Good evening, council members. My name is Michael Waters. I am a resident of District 1. I've listened to a lot of calls this evening, and what is so abundantly clear is that the folks are crying out for safe and thriving communities. The safest communities aren't the ones with the most police. They're the ones with the most resources. So why are we proposing an additional $19 million to a bloated police budget? Why has that budget increased for 11 years in a row? Let's give our communities, especially the most vulnerable communities, the resources they need to be safe and to thrive. We all saw the video of San Diego resident Jesse Evans being brutally assaulted by San Diego PD in La Jolla. We failed our citizens. Mr. Evans needed community support, not a beating. Let's give our most vulnerable citizens what they need and deserve. This means budgetary support for the unhoused, mental health services, community centers, affordable housing, addressing climate crisis, open air spaces. Let's support the arts and cultures, defund our police, support the arts, and support our libraries. Thank you.
Thank you. Maria S. Cervantes, followed by 0672, followed by Indigo Curtis. Maria, you'll have 1 minute. You'll need to unmute yourself. We have 25 speakers in the queue.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Maria Cervantes. Today, I'm asking the mayor and the city council to support the creation of the project of the cultural corridor in San Isidro as a CIP. That is on the list of the priorities for the budget of Councilor Vivian Moreno. I work in San Isidro and I travel through this corridor. It is important because it will be improve the area, so it will be safe for the pedestrians who travel for this corridor and who live there. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Phone number ending in 0672, followed by Indigo Curtis, followed by Eli Lawler. 24 speakers in the queue. 0672, you'll need to unmute yourself with *6. You'll have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Hi, my name is Christina Capella. Dear council members Campillo, LaCava, Von Wilper, and Whitburn, I am calling to remind you that you need to earn your reelection. I don't want to see any council members who vote for this budget groveling for the support of the teachers' unions or CSEA in their reelection campaigns when they vote to make the lives of their dues-paying members of those unions more difficult. By shutting down libraries, a vote in support of this budget makes the lives of children whose families can't afford computers or Wi-Fi more difficult. When children struggle, educators struggle. I don't want to see any council members who vote for this budget groveling for the support of voters by saying they claim they're going to fix homelessness when they're taking away the oasis of homeless people, air conditioning and safe restrooms on hot summer days, and giving more money to the officers who harass and hurt innocent homeless people, such as the ones who beat up Jesse Evans in La Jolla. I don't want to see any council members who vote for this budget mutter the words racial justice on the campaign trail ever again if they don't strongly and openly denounce this white supremacist budget immediately.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your testimony. Indigo Curtis, followed by Eli Lawler, followed by Mike. Indigo, you'll have 1 minute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. To all arts and education advocates calling in this evening, I do thank you for what you do. There is no way to justify increasing this police department's budget. To support communities of color in San Diego, please everyone advocate now, specifically and loudly, for defunding this biased police department. You either want to abolish these racist systems or you do not, and everyone needs to speak up now. This should not be political. It's about human rights. Todd Gloria, do not continue to increase funding for domestic terrorists who call themselves SDPD. We recently watched him brutalize an unhoused Black man, Jesse Evans, in La Jolla. As more officers arrived to add to his abuse and humiliation, it was disgusting to realize thousands of our tax dollars were clicking by as officers punched this peaceful man in the face. Their pathetic justification: he was looking for a place to urinate, and we frequently cannot access public bathrooms in our parks. You're ignoring basic services to defund essential services like libraries on Sundays for working people that need that in favor of funding an armed force that brutalizes citizens. It's a travesty. Shame on you, Todd Gloria. Fire Manny Del Toro.
Thank you so much for your testimony. I'm sorry, folks. I know a minute feels like it goes by fast. Everybody gets a minute. We still have 24 speakers in the queue. Eli Lawler, followed by Mike, followed by Francesca. Eli, you'll have a minute.
Good evening, beautiful people. My name is Eli, and I'm a student at UC San Diego and a precinct captain of the ACLU. I joined the call a bit late today, and the initial voices that I heard were community members asking for reinvestment into the arts. I wholeheartedly agree with this plea. It took me back to when I was in elementary school. Mind you, this is Riverside County. We had music and art classes for 1 year, but lost that due to budget cuts. Our teachers gathered students like myself to record a Beatles song to play for potential donors. It went, help, I need somebody, help, not just anybody, help, you know I need someone, help. Though not explicitly, the San Diego community is speaking the same message. You as the council members have the power to be that somebody and to help. Please defund the police and reinvest in the community to create a budget that really reflects the people. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Mike is our next speaker, followed by Francesca, followed by Chloe. 23 speakers in the queue. Mike, you'll have a minute.
Hi, I'm calling from District 3. During a recent budget discussion,
I listened to Councilmember Whitburn state that police should not be responsible for contacting shelterless people and that the appropriate resources should be available instead of the police. You also mentioned that downtown residents are requesting more police patrols to prevent crime. But then you also said that we can have a well-funded police and these outreach resources at the same time. No, we cannot. That is not what nearly every caller to that meeting demanded from you. We are demanding you to defund the police so that what happened to Jesse Evans in La Jolla doesn't happen to anyone else, and that people can have access to the type of safety resources proposed by the CBA. I'll end by uplifting what Jesse told the Washington Post. I hope I'm the last victim of such nonsense to me, he said. I hope that we can hire reasonable individuals to look out for us and protect and serve our greater good in a better way and represent us in a better way. Thank you.
Thank you. Francisca is our next speaker, followed by Chloe, followed by Tama Becker-Verano.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Hi, I'm Francesca Zagami. I'm a resident here in San Diego, and I just want to say that a police budget increase of $19 million is just a blatant support of the systemic discrimination we've seen from SDPD. They need to earn an increase, and they've not done that. The way to do that would be by proving themselves to advisory board that in no way is staffed or funded by the police. Instead of that, I really think we need to invest in our libraries and our communities, our arts, the things that build people up, instead of the SDPD systemically tearing down our communities, especially those most vulnerable and most in need of support. Please fund the libraries fully. Please invest in our arts. Please, let's invest in each other and be better and do better as a community. Do what you said you would when you ran and got elected on community values. Please, thank you.
Thank you. Chloe's our next speaker, followed by Tama Becker-Verano, followed by Gerardo Duran. Chloe, you'll have a minute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
I'm here to echo the community's message. Defunding the police is what our community needs. We need investment in our communities. We need libraries, and we need our populations that are most vulnerable to have the most support. The police have proven again and again to be not helping and being more destructive than helpful. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Tama Becker-Verano, followed by Gerardo Duran, followed by Jen La Barbera. 24 speakers in the queue.
Hi, my name is Tama Becker-Verano, a resident of District 1. With regard to Jesse Vans, did that look like de-escalation to you? At any point, did that look like de-escalation? How many Black and brown residents will you allow to be accosted, terrorized, or worse during interactions with our police department before you demand change? Crime goes down when cities increase their social service spending. Does it not baffle you that the best we can do with our financial resources is to pour the biggest chunk into our police department? We no longer live in a time where the gut reaction when crime increases is to increase the police budget. To the contrary, data and common sense support investing former police dollars in the kind of community programs that reduce crime without devastating communities. We now have examples of an array of methods, such as crisis intervention. Don't rely on council members Montgomery, Stepp, Moreno, and Elo Rivera to do all the heavy lifting. Be bold and rise to the moment by beginning the process of reimagining public safety today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Gerardo Duran, followed by Jen La Barbera, followed by 9771. 23 speakers in the queue. Gerardo, if you could please unmute yourself, you'll have 1 minute. Gerardo Duran. You'll need to unmute yourself. I can't do it for you. There you go.
Hello?
Yes, you'll have 1 minute.
Okay. Hello, I'm a resident of San Isidro. I want to talk for the cultural corridor. I'm use the way every day. This space is the connection between the San Isidro Boulevard and the Bayer Station. This walkway is dark and dangerous. I've been
Gerardo? Are you still
Yes.
there? Did you conclude your comment? Jen La Barbera, followed by 9771, followed by John Stopp. Jen, you'll have 1 minute. 23 speakers in the queue.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much. My name is Jen LaBarbera. I'm the Education and Advocacy Manager for San Diego Pride, and I'm a resident of District 3. Y'all have heard from me before at a few other hearings, and so, you know, the budget is huge and hugely impactful, and trying to address all of our concerns in 1 minute is fairly impossible, but I will do my best. And so I'm going to focus on two things in 30 seconds: arts and culture funding and true community safety, not additional police funding. You've heard other arts and culture organizations already testify. The arts are vital to San Diego, not just for the heart, but also for the economic bottom line. Many of our organizations rely on support from OSP and CCSD funding, and we need that support from the city in order to survive and continue to give back to the economy. Our organization specifically has a $26.6 million impact on the economy in a normal year. The ROI just makes sense, and I really hope that you continue to fund arts and culture funding at pre-pandemic levels. Thank you.
Thank you so much. 9771, followed by John Stump, followed by Scott Anglem. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Vivian LaPaglia, and I'm a member of San Diego Indivisible. And I want to say that the people of San Diego elected a new and progressive majority to the city of San Diego. And we finally have a chance to do things differently, to be innovative, creative, bold, and to solve our city's problems. I think we all agree that the goal is happy, healthy, nonviolent citizens, where the police become peace officers and not dystopian militarized force. The police budget already consumes more than a third of the San Diego taxpayer money. Continuing to give them more is at the expense of the public services that could help reduce the need for the police. We're merely chasing our tails by continuing to increase the police budgets while decreasing the funding to the public services that could help reduce the need for the police. We've increased the police budget for 11 consecutive years. Has it worked? No. To stop the vicious cycle, we need to solve the root causes of the problems of crime, poverty, homelessness, mental illness, the lack of affordable housing, environmental related.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. Your minute has expired. John Stump, you're our next speaker, followed by Scott Anglem, followed by Tamika Cook. 23 speakers in the queue. Mr. Stump, you'll have 1 minute.
Good evening, John Stump, a resident of District 4 and 9. My oral comments supplement my earlier submitted written comments, which are incorporated by reference. I'm writing you to urge you not to adopt a new budget premised or built on the excessive old taxes and another 20 years of enslavement to the most expensive energy utility nationwide. The majority of the taxes you impose go to fund the police department. We've got to stop socializing costs and privatizing profits. Please adopt a budget that doesn't violate the Brown Act and follows proper procedure. Stop funding the police by taxing the people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Scott Anglem, followed by Tamika Cook, followed by Alex Abrams.
Hi there, Scott Anglem, City Heights resident, proud District 9 member. I don't need to tell you more. I know a lot of you know this, but there are three major things that the budget should have a much higher priority on. Councilmember Elo Rivera, housing. Housing obviously is the biggest issue. It's a human right. I know that's of your belief. And I know asking for municipally managed social housing is like asking for peace in the Middle East or a Santa being real, but it is something that the city can manage, and I think we should look further into that. Also an expansion of funding for the No Shots Fired Prevention Pilot Program, and the dire need, as an engineer like Councilmember LaCava can recognize, the dire need for electrified rail on the I-15 corridor, which will make all the difference once the Purple Line is in for advancing social and economic equity across the region. Elizabeth, you've been doing a great job. That's all.
Thank you so much. Tamika Cook is our next speaker, followed by Alex Abrams, followed by 8323. 23 speakers in the queue. Tamika, you'll have a minute.
Good evening. My name is Tamika M. Cook, and I'm a resident of District 4. You have heard from many residents and community leaders from all over the city and county. They are saying support the arts, homelessness, youth, mental health services, and the libraries, etc. How can you do that, you ask? Simple. Defer the $19 million to those departments. How can I tell my son that I moved him across the country for a better life when you are giving millions of dollars to the terrorist organizations that we moved away from? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Alex Abrams, followed by 8323, followed by 9788. Alex, you'll have a minute.
My name is Dr. Alex Abrams, and I'm a resident of District 2. I was disappointed that the mayor left out many of the community's priorities in his proposed budgets. I urge the city council to support the CBA's community budget demands for the budget amendment. The city has already tried and failed to deal with our city's quote unquote problems through funding of police and other punitive systems. A safe community is one with resources and more social services, not one with more police. It's time to take a new approach and address homelessness by providing homes and creating a rental registry and vacancy tax. Let's address crime by providing funding for community programs that include long-term funding for youth opportunities, provide adequate funding for parks and libraries, and equitable job opportunities. Let's provide residents health by ensuring access to healthy and affordable food and reducing air pollution. These are not radical ideas, but are in fact solutions that can create real meaningful change. All of the CBA's budget priorities are crucial for ensuring public safety and addressing the roots of systemic problems instead of reactive systems.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Your minute has expired, Alex. Thank you. 8323 is our next speaker, followed by 9788, followed by 1202. You'll have 1 minute, 8323.
Good evening. I support the city's proposal of police funding. Counter to popular culture today, our community needs and relies on law enforcement. SDPD alone gets over 1 million calls for service a year. This year alone, our city has seen a dramatic increase in homicides, shootings, and other violent crime committed by San Diego residents against their family members and neighbors. This rise in violence is occurring in our most vulnerable, struggling neighborhoods. Counter to popular culture and contrary to what people are saying is that when they do need help, they call 911. I support the mayor's proposal for police funding. Thank you.
Thank you. 9788, followed by 1202, followed by Chris. 9788, you have 1 minute, 19 speakers in the queue.
Hi, my name is Danielle Polson, and I'm a volunteer with Sunrise Movement. I stand with the Community Budget Alliance and urge the mayor and city council to invest in resources that our communities have been asking for, and not in the police. When the police say there is no room in their budget to cut, it is hard to believe, especially when the city has always managed to find cuts in essential programs that our communities actually need. We demand that the city find areas of the police budget to cut. We know you can do it. The pandemic has made all of this even more obvious, and we must ensure that everyone has the opportunity to thrive in our city. It is absolutely critical that we fund programs that serve working families, specifically an Office of Child and Youth Success. I'm calling on the mayor and city council to allocate funding in the budget to establish an office that would center the voices and needs of children, youth, and their families, especially BIPOC youth.
Thank you.
Our community must come together.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. Your time has expired. Phone number ending in 1202, followed by Chris, followed by Stacy. 17 speakers in the queue. 1202. And you'll need to unmute yourself with *6. 1202. It's a 774 area code. There you go. You'll have 1 minute.
Katie Zeitz, I'm in District 6. I'm with Showing Up for Racial Justice, asking to defund police and invest in the community according to the people's budget. The cuts the mayor says he's making amount to a $19 million increase. This isn't way to make room for funding better access to the things that really keep us safe, like violence prevention, housing, and food access. Several of you have said you want to reimagine policing. Show us that. Invest in possible alternatives and make them happen now. A lot of the research has already been done for you by other cities with programs such as Cahoots in Eugene, Oregon, which saves the city $8.5 million annually. The Office of Neighborhood Safety in Richmond, California, which has existed for 10 years and helped the city's homicide rate drop by 80%. San Diego's not so different that these can't work here. stand against police association, and start taking action to implement these changes. Also, Mayor Gloria and Summer Stephan taking credit for ending gang injunctions is a slap in the face to the women of color like Jamie Wilson and Genevieve Jones-Wright, who work tirelessly to educate the public and advocate for ending this racist practice. You should be ashamed of yourselves, give them credit, and end
Thank
gang
you for your
enhancements.
testimony. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, folks. I know a minute goes by fast, but there's still 17 folks in the queue, so hopefully you can think about that as you tailor your comments. Chris, you're our next speaker, followed by Stacy, followed by Scott at the library shop. Chris, you'll have 1 minute.
Good evening, folks. Chris Sotomayor, Mid-City Can. I know that you folks are hearing this because, or tired of hearing this because we are tired of saying it. There is absolutely no reason to continue increasing the police budget, especially by 19 million. Somebody make it make sense that the type of aggression that you saw in this recent attack by the utter hate that was delivered in that punch of that poor man who was trying to find a bathroom. You cannot reform that. You cannot change that. It has to be deconstructed and systemically dismantled, and it is your responsibility to do that. And again, we know that y'all standing up to the bullies in blue and the police gangsters union is really scary. But when somebody doesn't do a job, you fire them. Y'all can get fired and the community will fire you. So do something about it. Fire the police, defund the police, and fund things like parks, education, and libraries. This is ridiculous, folks. You have children calling in. You should be ashamed. Do your job.
Thank you. Stacey's our next speaker, followed by Scott at the library shop, followed by Ariana, 16 speakers in the queue. Stacey, you'll have 1 minute.
Hi, my name is Stacy. I'm a member of Asian Solidarity Collective and a resident of District 3. Demanding that you listen to your constituents should really not be this difficult. For the Black, Brown, Asian, disabled, and poor folks that SDPD targets and harasses, they do not represent public safety. Last month, under the guise of hate crimes, council members Whitburn and Campbell and Mayor Gloria were celebrating the police by putting safe place stickers on LGBTQ businesses and placing police in Asian-owned businesses. If you actually listen to your constituents, you would know that those of us that have been targeted and harassed know that these are empty gestures that whitewash the well-documented history of police terror against our communities. In the face of white supremacist and heteropatriarchal violence, we do not need the poster children of heteropatriarchal violence to receive an additional $19 million. The San Diego Police Department does not have the skills or basic decency to deserve this outrageous proportion of our city's budget.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your testimony. Scott is our next speaker, followed by Ariana, followed by Becca Ray Rose, 15 speakers in the queue. Scott, you'll have 1 minute.
Hi, it's Scott from the library shop. I work in the nonprofit book and gift shop inside the courtyard of the Central Library. So I spend nearly every day at the library, and I can tell you that librarians are superheroes and the services they provide are essential. As Councilperson Ela Rivera mentioned at the May 6th budget hearing, the library has been a victim of systemic divestment for many years. One of the simplest ways to understand that systemic divestment is the fact that America's finest city has America's worst library materials budget, spending only $1.28 per capita on books and materials, which doesn't pay for a cup of coffee, let alone a book. So while I am encouraged by the proposed materials budget increase to the library, it is bittersweet as I'll have to revise my talking points from America's worst materials budget to America's second worst materials budget. I encourage you to restore all the cuts to the library's budget and to continue increasing the materials budget, not just this year, but well into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Ariana, followed by Becca Ray Rose, followed by Dr. DJ Kutan Kandi. Ariana, you'll have a minute, 15 speakers in the queue.
Hi, my name is Ariana Federico, and I live in District 4. I'm lead organizer at Mid-City Can, and we're based in City Heights. We work along with young people and community residents. And I just want to uplift, like how others have uplifted, that 1 in 3 city dollars are actually being spent in policing, and they're not really being used to address anything that is happening or that needs to be prioritized in community. For instance, just last week, like many have mentioned, we did see that San Diego police officers punch and beat a Black homeless man in La Jolla. This person did not need that that trauma And I'm pretty sure that to relive that type of trauma, he needed support, he needed care, he needed social workers, he needed a housing specialist. We cannot continue to fund systems of oppression. There's already been so many community projects that have been brought to you in closed doors and in public spaces like this.
Thank you
We need
so
to
much.
ensure that.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Thank you for your comments. Becca Ray Rose is our next speaker, followed by Dr. DJ Kutenkandi, followed by 9792. Becca, you'll have a minute, 14 speakers in the queue.
Hi, thank you so much, Elizabeth. Can you hear me?
Becca, if you could speak up, that would be great. I can hardly hear you.
Oh, one moment. Okay, can you hear me now?
That's perfect. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you, Elizabeth. Hi, my name is Becca Ray Rose. I live in University Heights neighborhood. The proposed budget maintains the status quo rather than setting a long-term agenda for much needed change in the city. I'm opposing the $19 million increase in police department funding. People need services that will improve their lives, not more policing. 1 in 3 city dollars is spent on policing, with the police getting a larger share of the city budget than all community programs combined. The police budget has increased for the 11th year in a row and grown by $214.7 million since 2011. More police do not keep our communities safe. We know that SDPD stops and searches Black folks, Native American, and Pacific Islanders at 3 times the rate of white people, according to Campaign Zero. They are also more likely to use force against Black San Diegans, even after controlling for arrest rates. Last Wednesday, we saw the SDPD police officers punch and assault a Black homeless man in La Jolla.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry, Becca, your time has expired. Dr. DJ Kutenkandi, followed by 9792, followed by 8248, 12 speakers in the queue.
Hi, I'm Dr. DJ Kutenkandi, Executive Director of Asian Solidarity Collective, which has a growing membership base of 500 people, demonstrating that Asians and Asian Americans align with our mission and principles. I check your inbox, I emailed all of you. I'm urging City Council members to reject the mayor's proposed budget with the $19 million increase in police funding. As an Asian and Filipinx, it's important to note that within a span of 5 months between 2019 to 2020, 2 Filipinos, Dennis Carolino and Toby Dilla, were killed by the San Diego Police Department. These tragic incidents are not isolated and occur frequently because this is systemic. The only way to end violence by the police is by divesting from the police and reinvesting in the community. The alternative to policing should not be based on police funding or reformist tactics that have been proven to not work. Rather, elected officials like yourself must reimagine public safety that shifts into a plan that is developed, led, and overseen by the community. In solidarity with Black, Brown, Indigenous, Asian, and people of color communities, we must create alternative practices, and we start with the city budget. That is an imperative, as it will save lives and get us closer to liberation.
Thank you so much. 9792, followed by 8248, followed by 7554. Go ahead, 9792, you'll have 1 minute.
Hi, my name is Sophia Haidari, and I'm an organizer with Youth Will and a member of the Community Budget Alliance. Our budget reflects the morals and the priorities of our city. So what does it say about our city's morals and its leadership that there's currently no dedicated space for youth? We need a centralized office for child and youth success that will streamline all youth funding, services, and programming so that they are not operating in silos. Mayor Gloria, while we appreciate the funding dedicated to youth programming, it is not enough. San Diego youth are calling on you to invest in their success and well-being by funding this office, rather than investing in our carceral system. Why is it that your proposed budget won't allocate the $350,000 for this office, but has no problem adding another $19 million to the police spending? In order for our region to have a just recovery from COVID, we must invest in systems of support for youth and families. Please heed the call of your constituents and live by the values that you campaigned on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll go to 8248, followed by 7554, followed by Danny Avitia, 11 speakers in the queue. 8248, you'll need to unmute yourself with *6. Go ahead, you'll have 1 minute.
Yes, I'm calling because you're hearing it over and over and over again about this poor Black man that was beaten by the San Diego police in La Jolla. I don't think that should be rewarded at all. I support the CPA's budget, and I hope that you all do the same. And I'm going to say this because I'm not sure if you're all listening, but defund the police, fund communities, defund the police, fund communities, defund the police, fund our communities, defund the police, fund our communities. I hope you're listening because we all need the support, not the police. They got 24 million last year. You want to give them another 19 million this year. It's not right. You don't give a rotten child candy. You don't spoil a child when they're bad. The police do not deserve this 19 million. Please defund the police.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your testimony. 7554, you're our next speaker, followed by Danny Avitia, followed by 2953, 10 speakers in the queue. 7554, you'll need to unmute yourself with *6. You'll have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Erin Hogaboom, and I am Senior Director of San Diego for Every Child. I stand alongside a growing groundswell of San Diegans asking for our systems level change at the city for our children, youth, and their families. Our ask is for an Office of Child and Youth Success. While I'd like to extend my gratitude for the allotment currently in the proposed budget for a one-time youth programming, there's consensus across the community that more visionary long-term plan is needed to fully reach our potential. We are asking that the city use a child, youth, and family framework the same way that the Office of Race and Equity uses that to analyze existing city activities. The budget ask is menial and would provide San Diego with the infrastructure to seek more sustainable federal, state, and private funding. Just think, we no longer have to ask ourselves year after year where San Diego is going to find the money to support children, youth, and their families. The time has come for a San Diego to join metropolises of its size and capability to fully embrace this internal infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Danny Avitia, followed by 2953, followed by Maricela Chavez. 10 speakers in the queue. Danny, you'll have 1 minute.
Thank you. Good evening, City Council. My name is Danny Avitia, and I'm a community organizer, not an elitist nor an extremist like Jennifer Campbell would call me. I'm calling in support of the Community Budget Alliance and Homeless Services, as well to echo the voices of the community and to ask the council to do what is only the right thing. Our city will never get the opportunity to lead across the country unless we stop the status quo as it is. And please, we need to make sure that we are investing in communities, not investing into the police and solutions that have not worked. And also, please just don't come for us to ask for help during your campaigns when you come up for re-election if you did the wrong thing here. We are paying attention, we are looking, and we are looking to 2022 when some of you are coming up for re-election. So make sure that we're doing the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. 2953, followed by Maricela Chavez, followed by Adina. 2953, you'll need to unmute yourself with *6. Go ahead, you'll have a minute.
Hi, my name is Alexandra Hahn, and I'm with the Sunrise Movement. And for reference, the black man who was beat up and terrorized by the police, his name was Jesse Evans, and he was just looking for a restroom. But instead, he was beat up and terrorized. When you throw $19 million more into the police, how is that going to solve this? How is policing going to solve this when people are unhoused? We need to be providing homes. We need to be funding libraries. We also need to be supporting our youth with the Office of Child and Youth Success, because when we support the youth, they will thrive. And when they thrive, they will support and take care of each other and our families. This is what we need. Our country is lacking so much heart right now. We are all individualistic, where we are not even looking out for each other. Instead, we're telling other people to come shoot their problems, to beat up the problems, to get rid of it.
Thank you so much. Your time has expired. Maricela, you're our next speaker, followed by Adina, followed by Dandy Richardson. 8 speakers in the queue. Maricela, you'll have 1 minute.
Thank you. My name is Maricela, and I live in Oak Park in District 4. I've worked in educational and poverty intervention programs for most of my career here in City Heights and Southeast San Diego. And I often, in my daily goings about, see police interactions and am very concerned for the over-policing in my community. I would like to see the city fund priorities that will help our community thrive. This means that the city must invest in community-led violence prevention programs and ensure that the right professionals can respond to a crisis.
Police should not be responding to the type of crisis that we're seeing in my community and throughout San Diego. We must ensure that funding goes to the right services like mental health professionals, safe housing, youth programs, libraries, arts. We should create a transitional age unit, and we should move the homeless outreach team out of the police department. Somebody said that we have to call the police department because we need them. We have to call them because we have no options right now. But
Thank you so much, Maricela. Thank you for your comments. Adina is our next speaker, followed by Dandy Richardson, followed by 5892. Adina, you'll have 1 minute.
Hi, my name is Adina Weinigan. I'm a resident of Normal Heights in District 3. As a member of Showing Up for Racial Justice, I, along with hundreds of others of people that have been calling you and are engaging in this process early and often, like you told us to, and it feels like it's falling on deaf ears. What do we need to do to get you to listen? I understand that $19 million is contractually mandated pension costs. Make the police pay their pensions coming out of the police budget instead of taking resources away from our underfunded communities. I and many others are not asking for the maintaining of the status quo. The status quo is killing people. It is harming people. It is beating up Jesse Evans for public urination. I want the SDPD to have less money, period. We need to imagine alternatives to this terrible institution. Do not claim funding the CPP as proof that you're listening. You are obligated to fund that by Measure B, which was supported by 75% of the voters. 75% of the voters think there's something rotten in this police force and it needs to get looked at by an outside commission. Why aren't you investing in our community instead of investing in rotten, terrible cops? Give us some action, prove you're listening.
Thank you. Dandy Richardson, followed by 5892, followed by Catherine Link Overstar. Dandy, you'll have 1 minute.
Hello, my name is Sandy Richardson. I'm a physician calling from South San Diego, and I usually call in talking about how my patients are affected by police brutality. But so far you haven't, so far that hasn't gotten me much change. So I would like to say, did you know that in this year, in this past 12 months, I personally have been assaulted by the police twice. In both scenarios, I told them, de-escalate the situation, use your words, not your fists. But in both situations, I've just been brutally assaulted by riot cops. And I am a completely 100% peaceful person. I've never committed a crime in my life. And how is it that in the past 12 months alone, I've been assaulted by them twice?
Thank you so much. Your time has expired. We need to move on. We have 6 speakers still in the queue, 5892, followed by Catherine Link Overstar, followed by Lakshmi Bhattacharya. 5892, please unmute yourself with *6. There you go. You'll have a minute. 5892, I see you've unmuted yourself. Please make sure you're unmuting the device you're speaking into. You'll have 1 minute. Uh, 5892, I'm going to give you another couple of seconds and then I'm going to go ahead and lower your hand. We still have 7 speakers in the queue, so you'll have a chance to get back in once you solve your technical difficulties.
Hello?
Yes, there you go. You'll have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Hi, Joaquin is here, former congressional candidate for the 53rd. I think we've all heard over the last couple of years during the last presidential administration with Trump and everything that's been going on during the last year of the terror that increased police activity in brown and Black communities has caused. The damages are there. The facts are there. We know exactly what an increased budget for a police department needs to, and that is the terrorizing, the traumatizing of our communities. And what it leads up to is more of us ending up behind bars, or that's if we're lucky. So I ask all of you council members to please be more empathetic. Think about more about the people that you're supposed to be helping out instead of your political ambitions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Catherine Link Overstar, followed by Lakshmi Bhattacharya, followed by 8078. 7 speakers in the queue. Go ahead, Catherine.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Linkoberstar. I'm a resident of Council District 3. I'm also a member of Surge San Diego and San Diego 350. It's beyond disappointing to see that the proposed budget ignores consistent calls from the community for systemic change in our city. I'm calling in opposition to the proposed increase to the police budget because our communities deserve to have access to resources that they need to keep us safe and to thrive. We must divest from the police and invest in community-led violence prevention programs, mental health services, safe housing, youth programs, and make sure that the right professionals are responding to these crises, not the San Diego Police Department, who are at best incompetent and at worst a danger to our community. San Diegans deserve better. Take action to address these issues now, or we'll take action at the ballot box to remove you from office. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Lakshmi Bhattacharya, followed by 8078, followed by 8343. 6 speakers in the queue. Lakshmi, you'll have a minute.
Hi, my name is Lakshmi Bhattacharya. I'm a resident of District 1 and a student at UC San Diego. Mayor Gloria, you stated that we aren't properly funding the programs we need to solve the problems of racial disparity. You were quoted saying this in the San Diego Union Tribune. And as someone mentioned earlier, this budget proposal and your actions, and this includes you, council members, your actions thus far have maintained the status quo. You don't need to look far for solutions. Our communities have done that work for you. We do not need more police funding. We need to invest in our libraries, our youth, in safe, affordable housing, the kind of investments that allow our communities to thrive. How many more folks need to be traumatized, harmed, and murdered until you take action to protect your people? Thank you.
Thank you so much. 8078, followed by 8343, followed by Whitney Pepper.
Hola, buenas tardes. Podemos hablar aquí en español, ¿verdad?
Un momento, por favor. Un traductor está aquí. Diana.
Sí, buenas noches. Si nomás puede traducir en segmentos cortos, puede hablar en segmentos cortos para poder traducirle adecuadamente.
Claro. Entonces, buenas tardes a todos. Me llamo Carlos Hernández y llamo de parte de ACE San Diego.
Good evening. My name is Carlos. Good evening to everybody. My name is Carlos Hernández and I'm calling from ACE. ¿Puede continuar?
Asignar fondos para una agencia pública que no puede lograr su objetivo es objetivamente mala administración pública.
Assigning funds to a department or an organization that cannot meet their organization's objective is objectively wrong.
Presionar por recortes del presupuesto para hacer esto es duplicar la mala administración pública.
Presionar por recortes, ¿puede decirlo esa parte otra vez?
Claro, presionar por recortes del presupuesto es duplicar esta mala administración pública.
To have people pressure you for the cuts for this budget cycle and not being able to do it is bad administration.
Y la verdad es una forma muy huevona de evitar su responsabilidad de crear los programas públicos necesarios para realísticamente solucionar nuestros problemas sociales.
And the truth, it is a very lazy way to try and administer these programs in order to better serve the community.
La aprobación de este presupuesto no solo mostraría una mala administración pública, pero sino también una impotencia de proteger a la comunidad.
If you were to approve this budget, it doesn't only show a lack of impotence, but a lack of will of making sure that the will of the people is accomplished.
Y también tengo que mencionar que si aprueban este presupuesto, sangre estará en sus manos, ya que agregando estos millones de dólares resultarán en las muertes de personas de color.
I also have to say that if you approve this budget, blood will be on your hands, because approving this millions of dollars will only cause more death.
Gracias por escuchar y buenas noches.
Thank you for listening to me and good night.
Thank you so much. We'll go to our next, and thank you. Diana Fuentes was our translator. Thank you so much, Diana. We'll go to our next speaker, 8343, followed by Whitney Pepper, followed by Elida Chavez. 8343. We have 6 speakers in the queue. You'll have 1 minute.
Good evening, and thank you for letting me speak. I'm a resident of the city of San Diego, and I'd like to speak in support of increasing funding to the San Diego Police Department, because I believe that doing or engaging and investing in the police department is an investment in our community. The sad reality is that violence is an ever-present reality for a huge segment of our Black and Brown population, and the predominant victims of violent crime in San Diego are the same Black and Brown young men that all of these other callers have been talking about. What I haven't heard other people talking about is where the money for the police department is actually going. Since young Black and Brown men are disproportionately represented in our homicide rate, the tremendous amount of resources and manpower and assistance that goes into solving those crimes and bringing justice to victims goes ignored. I'm also concerned that no one is talking about the massive uptick in gun violence and the fact that San Diego is currently awash in guns, and no one is going to be taking guns out of the hands of the people who are committing these crimes except for police department officers. San Diego police officers.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry. I know a minute goes by really quickly. We still have 6 speakers in the queue. Whitney Peppers, our next speaker, followed by Alida Chavez, followed by Omar Figueroa. Whitney, you'll have 1 minute.
Hello, council members. My name is Whitney Pepper. I'm a resident of Sean Elo Rivera's district, District 9, and I'm a member of Showing Up for Racial Justice San Diego. I want to take a moment to greet and thank every single person who has called and written in to demand divestment from police. We are in this together. This is the second time I've called in on this topic, and I know that there are tons of people devoting a lot of time just trying to convince you all of what we already know, that police do not keep us safe. I have the privilege to be able to call in, having consistent access to internet and a phone. There are many San Diego residents who do not have such privileges, and I know there are many who are not able to call in who would share the views that so many of us have already shared, that we want our money to be spent on safer community care that does not involve police, essential services like libraries and affordable mental health care. I want to echo what Adina said earlier, that it is incredibly frustrating to be making the same demands over and over, and not only not being listened to, but having you do the exact opposite of what we're asking for. Please listen to us. We have made our demands crystal clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Alida Chavez, followed by Omar Figueroa, followed by Becky Goodman.
Good evening, members of the City Council. My name is Elida Chavez. I'm from District 4, representing Oak Park Community Council. I have listened for the last few hours, our residents and citizens of our city of San Diego. We are having a crucial, critical time in our city. Our students, many of our students will be set back because of the pandemic. It is very, very sad that a lot of these students, because they will be set back, they're having a lot of anxiety. They're having a lot of problems, emotional problems, because of course, nobody wants to be set back. I urge you, please keep our libraries open. They need to go get help after school or during summer. They need to look for jobs and employment.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your comments. Omar Figueroa, followed by Becky Goodman, followed by 1342. Omar, you'll have 1 minute. There are 5 speakers in the queue. Omar, you'll need to unmute yourself. There you go. You'll have 1 minute.
Yes. Hello, I'm Omar from District 4. And I'd like to echo what Scott England was saying earlier about social housing and more transit for building. We need both social housing. There's no excuse for the housing crisis. It's been getting out of hand, and it hurts me to know that homelessness is this bad. There's no excuse for the housing crisis. Housing is a human right, and we are denying people a human right by not building housing for people who can't afford it otherwise. $825,000 is not an acceptable housing price. And it just hurts me to see that homelessness has gone this bad in San Diego. I'll also like to highlight the no shots fired program. If we invest money there, it would actually make a difference.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for your comments. Becky Goodman, you'll be followed by 1342, followed by Peter Comiskey. Becky, you have 1 minute. Becky Goodman, you're going to need to unmute yourself. There are 4 speakers still in the queue. Becky Goodman, I've sent you the query to unmute yourself. There you go. You'll have
Hi,
1 minute.
can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Becky Goodman, the Senior Manager of Institutional Giving at La Jolla Playhouse. Each year, our nonprofit typically serves over 140,000 San Diegans, including children and military families. In addition to the arts being a great economic driver, research shows that participation in the arts increases empathy and tolerance, as well as one's understanding of the world and its diversity. We respectfully request your support in reinstating Penny for the Arts and Culture with a 5-year phase-in beginning this year, allocating funding for operating support for nonprofit arts and culture partners at pre-pandemic levels, and the immediate creation of a cultural plan for all city council districts. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. We'll go to our next caller, 1342, followed by Peter Comiskey, followed by 6040, 3 speakers in the queue, 1342. 1342, you'll need to unmute yourself with *6. Put the query into you. I can't do it for you. Phone number, it's a 619 phone number, and make sure you're unmuting the device you're speaking into. I'll give you another couple of seconds, but then we've got to press on. And we still do have 2 other speakers, so you should have time to get back into the queue once you resolve your technical difficulties. I'm going to go ahead and put you back in the queue then. Please go ahead and get back in line once you've sorted out your technical issues. Peter Comiskey, followed by 6040, followed by MK. Mr. Comiskey, you'll have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Good evening, Council President Campbell and Council members. My name is Peter Comiskey, tonight representing Arts and Culture San Diego, a coalition of over 100 of your nonprofit partners delivering key programs and services that are inherently and critically important for the recovery, growth, and sustainability of our community. As a reminder, 3 specific priorities in addition to the far overdue formalization for Penny and Arts and Culture. Please drive community jobs and economic impact by funding OSP and CCSD programs at pre-pandemic levels, the immediate creation of a phase 1 cultural plan for cultural districts throughout the City Council areas, and drive economic recovery by rebuilding and enhancing Balboa Park with an experience plan. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir. 6040, followed by MK. 6040, followed by MK. 2 speakers in the queue. Go ahead. You'll have 1 minute.
Good evening. My name is Ria Otero, and I know I'm not the only San Diegan who cringes every time a white woman calls in to say that the police are here to keep us safe. Last week, the entire country saw what the SDPD did to a Black unsheltered gentleman named Jesse Evans. Instead of demanding the release of police body cam footage, Todd Gloria's half-assed statement of condemnation will only serve to embolden these racist police officers. Council members, if you think what happened to George Floyd cannot happen here, then you are wrong. Voting to approve this budget is a direct act of violence against the Black and brown community. It won't matter how you try to justify it to yourself. The next Jesse Evans will be your fault.
Thank you. MK is our next speaker, followed by 8100. MK, go ahead. You'll have 1 minute.
Hi, this is Michelle Cruz. Good evening. I just would like to remind you about please putting in the money into the arts. I like that idea of the penny for the arts, a penny out of every dollar. I also want to ask you to please create the priority of the San Ysidro Arts Corridor. I've been hearing about that for so many years. It is so desperately needed there. I understand that the library is going to get its funding back to make sure that there's a library that's open every day of the week in each district, to at least be open on, everybody needs a library open on Sunday. Thank you very much for that. And lastly, the police chief said that there were like 1,800 rape kits that had been unanalyzed and that they had taken care of 700 something. Please get the rest of those historic rape kits done. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much. 8100 is our next speaker, followed by Bartleby Bloss. 8100, you'll need to unmute yourself with *6. Go ahead, you'll have 1 minute.
Hi, my name is Holly. I'm 20. I'm from District 3, and I just wanted to call in to ask for everybody here to defund the police and not pass or not support the current funding of the police. There's no reason we need to keep funding them, and there's no reason we need to reduce funding for libraries. We need to invest in our schools. We need to invest in social housing. We need to invest in transportation. All of these things will make our communities safer and better. And once we start creating infrastructure for the people, then we can actually start improving our communities. So, thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Elizabeth, for doing a great job. I hope that the city council members actually, listen to their constituents this time. We can't have another budget passed that supports the police who are just not doing a good job and who are not keeping our community safe. Thank you so much and have a good day.
Thank you. Bartleby Bloss is our next speaker, followed by Non 889, followed by Kent Lee. Bartleby, you'll have a minute.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
I am from District 9. I've been listening to these meetings for the past year. 2 weeks ago, I heard council members pat themselves on the back for the progressive programs that are being added to this year instead of defunding the police. This is not enough. And can we please stop allowing the police and their union to control the narrative, which is contrary to the numerous studies and data given to you all by your much more intelligent constituents. You need to actually do your job and rethink public safety and invest in our communities. The SDPD is wasteful, and this is just the least of my issues with them because they are a racist, terrorizing force in our communities. And I have personally experienced excessive force by the SDPD. This is very unacceptable that we are taking money away from the arts, from culture, from programs that actually keep us safe. So yeah, please allocate money to things that actually work.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. We'll go to our next speaker, 9889, followed by Kent Lee. 2 speakers in the queue, 9889. You'll need to unmute yourself with *6. It's a 619 number. I can't unmute you. You'll have to do it. And make sure you unmute the device you want to speak into. Phone number ending in 9889. I'll give you another second or two to sort it out, but otherwise I'm going to have to put you back in the queue. There you go. There you go.
¿Aló?
Yes, go ahead. You'll have a minute.
¿En español, por favor?
Un momento, por favor. Un traductor está aquí. Diana.
Sí, buenas tardes, señora. Sí, por favor, no nos puede hablar en fragmentos cortos para poder traducirlo adecuadamente.
Claro que sí.
Gracias.
Primero que nada, pues gracias por escuchar.
First of all, thank you for listening.
Mi nombre es Patricia Martínez.
My name is
Y
Patricia
pertenezco al
Martinez,
grupo ACE.
and I'm with the group ACE.
Y estoy hablando para protestar sobre el presupuesto para los policías, ya
And
que nosotros...
I'm calling to protest against the police budget.
Ya que como nosotros como inmigrantes también pagamos impuestos y no nos toman en cuenta para nada.
As an immigrant, I also pay taxes, and we don't get taken into account for anything.
Y tengo hijos nacidos aquí, tenemos hijos ciudadanos que tampoco muchas veces por el ser hijos de inmigrantes no valoran sus derechos.
And we have children born here that are United States citizens, but many times, because they are children of immigrants, their rights aren't taken into account.
Y en vez de darle ese presupuesto a los policías, que en vez de a veces ayudar, creo que a veces ayuda más a que abusen más de su poder.
Instead of giving them this extra budget money, I think all it does is help them. It helps them just take advantage of the situation more?
Pudiendo hacer más programas para los niños que quieren ir a universidades, quieren ir a hacer, quieren estudiar, quieren hacer algo en la vida, algo bueno, pueden
Being
hacer
able
más
to
programas de esos con ese dinero.
being able to use that money for better things for our youth, for programs to encourage them to go to college or to be better people. You can use that money for other and better purposes.
And I'm sorry, your time has expired. Thank you so much. And thank you, Deanna, for your translation services.
Su tiempo expiró. Muchísimas gracias, señora.
Our final speaker is Kent Lee. Mr. Lee, you'll have 1 minute.
Good evening, council members. Thanks for having me, escaping from a Merrimack State Community Planning Group meeting. So thanks for squeezing me in. My name is Kent Lee. I'm the Executive Director of Pacific Arts Movement, media arts organization best known for presenting the San Diego Asian Film Festival, as well as serving as the fiscal sponsor for the San Diego Asian Pacific Islander Coalition. As many of you are aware at this point, the proposed budget maintains pretty massive cuts made to arts and culture funding in the last fiscal year. And these cuts have an outsized impact on small cultural institutions such as ourselves, who deeply believe that our work represents much more than just entertainment. It represents the opportunity we have to share stories that represent our diverse and multicultural communities. And in order to inspire greater compassion, empathy, and understanding. For many of us in the API community, this is especially critical at a time when we've been working to fight and combat increased racism and hate resulting from the pandemic. And our organizations are fighting not just to recover, but to think about how they survive. We know the pandemic has disproportionately devastated many of our communities. So what I'd love to encourage is that the council not only think about how we recover, but to consider how we rebuild a San Diego that is more equitable, not just when it comes to arts and culture, when it comes to serving our communities in the years ahead. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you so much. We do have 2 additional speakers who have raised their hands. Paige Hernandez, followed by 2104. Ms. Hernandez, you'll have 1 minute.
Thank you. My name is Paige and I live in District 2 and I serve on the Pacific Beach Planning Group. The brutal assault of Jesse Evans by police in La Jolla is a direct result of racism in communities like mine and institutional racism of the police. Police exist today and have always existed to protect the quality of life for the white and wealthy and to keep Black, brown, and low-income people out of communities like mine in D2. I urge you not to listen to the voices of the most entitled and the most wealthy, but encourage you to listen to those, the cries for help from the Black and brown community members across San Diego. Please divest from the police and invest in communities that need it the most. Please invest in affordable housing, long-term solutions for our unhoused residents, and community-led programs. Thank you.
Thank you. 2104. 2104.
Hi. Hello, City Council. Good evening to everybody. Thank you very much for this time. My name is Anthony Avalos, and I'm representing currently District 2. I'm calling, as many of the callers have prior to me, to request that we absolutely reallocate the $19 million designated for SDPD and allocate that to the many community organizations that are in desperate need. My first interaction with the police was at the age of 15, where a friend of mine was pulled over and the police officer asked him why he was riding around with 2 N-words in front of me. Now, that shouldn't come as a surprise, as the legacy of policing in San Diego comes from the Slave Patrol. What I'm asking is for City Council and city leaders to no longer fund the legacy of the Slave Patrol and to start funding the community as necessary. Thank you very much. And as a 3rd-generation San Diegan, Black and brown, I very much appreciate your attention to this comment.
Thank you. 2797. You'll need to unmute yourself with *6. 2797. There you go. You'll have 1 minute.
Hi, my name is Shannon. I am in Stephen Whitmer's district, and I just wanted to call because I think that we need to allocate the city budget. It's not really fair that we're having all this money going to police when all they commit is like brutality and aggression towards people. I also am a student at UCSD, and I find it really disturbing that just a few days ago, after the mayor was praising the San Diego Police Department, that a man was like brutalized and beaten right in front of other students' eyes. I think that if we want to have a good university and have people want to come to this school, it's important that we don't have members of the community and people working on campus who are actively harming other people. And I also think that we can invest this into more important issues. As I said, I go to UCSD and I'm also a San Diego resident, and we should have, better transportation system, parks, fix homelessness. There's an insane housing crisis, by the way, and there's just so many other ways to spend the money in a better way. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Your time has expired. And with that, Council President, that concludes the public speakers on item 600.
Thank you. And thank you to the members of the public for participating. We will now take council members' questions, comments, and as a reminder, this is informational item only, and no motion is required. And we will start with Councilmember LaCava.
Thank you, Council President. No comments or questions. I just want to thank the public who took the time to call in. It was great to see such a robust discussion of important issues to our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Council President Pro Tem Whitburn.
Thank you, Council President. I too would like to thank everybody who took the time to call in this evening, including the many residents of District 3 who called in to be heard. I appreciate your taking the time to do so.
Thank you. Council Member Montgomery Stepp.
Great, thanks everyone who called in. It's not over yet. We still have a few weeks to go in this budget process, and I'm hopeful that we will meet the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Member Von Wilpert.
Thank you, Council President. And I too want to thank everyone who called and wrote comments as well. We've read your written comments to engage in our budget process. We very much appreciate it. You've been staying up late with us tonight. So thanks for everyone calling in, especially also about the arts and culture community. So that's all I've got. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Councilmember Campillo.
Thank you, Council President. Just echo my fellow council members and thanking the public for calling in. Particularly want to thank the folks from D7, Charlie Goldberg, Viviana PG, and Julie Hendricks for calling in. It takes a lot for 116 people to stay on this long and have their voices heard, and it really is meaningful and impactful, and we really care about your personal stories. Really thank everyone for being part of this, and look forward to hearing more comments over the next following 3-4 weeks as we finalize the budget and keep advocating for what you want to see. Thank you so much, especially all the people who advocated for the Office of Child and Youth Success. I'm right there with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Moreno.
Hello and good evening to everybody. I want to thank all the members of the public who called in tonight and each day of our budget review committee hearing. I've listened to all of your comments and ideas, and we've taken a deep dive into the proposed budget department by department. And as we approach the release of the mayor's revised budget, which will be discussed in detail on Thursday, I would urge everybody to continue to stay engaged and make your voice heard. From here, the remaining hearings on the fiscal year 22 budget are Thursday, May 22nd, where the Budget Review Committee will discuss the mayor's May revision to the budget. There's also Monday, June 14th, where the City Council will finalize the fiscal year 22 budget. So please continue to submit your testimony at the upcoming budget hearings and send emails and letters to the council and the mayor. It is only by hearing your voices, your feedback, your thoughts and ideas that the council will be able to pass a final budget that reflects the priorities of our communities. Thank you again to everybody who called in tonight, and I look forward to hearing from you again over the next few weeks. And thank you, Council President. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. Councilmember Elo Rivera.
Thank you, Council President. I'll reiterate my thank you to the community, or my colleagues. Thank you to the community. I just want to let you know that we hear you in District 9 and we are listening. We, along with you, are awaiting the details of the revised budget proposal, but I want you to know that District 9 is committed to fighting for a budget that's responsive to your needs and the vision that so many of you laid out. I think it's important to note that despite what others might tell you and the gaslighting that is attempted, there's nothing unreasonable, rash, or radical about what much of what we heard tonight. Support for the arts, proactive housing protections, and of course, investing in child and youth development. A future with racial justice is not an unreasonable thing to demand. Quite the contrary. And yes, while the world we seek to create is going to take more than one budget cycle to bring to life, I know the community knows that, and that is not an excuse to start doing some of the work this year. And as some of my colleagues and I stated last week, we can start with the acknowledgement that police should not be first responders to homelessness or mental health crises. And we will be advocating in District 9, advocating for a budget that reflects that fact. We'll also be advocating for a budget that invests in the solutions that many of you brought forward. Some of those were concrete and very, very obvious investments in public safety, like streetlights, weed abatement, graffiti abatement, sidewalk repair, and then and neighborhood code enforcement. And then there's others that are a little, less obvious, but nonetheless important. Arts and culture is an investment in safety in our future. Investment in libraries, which I'm glad to hear will likely be back in the budget. And then, as Councilmember Campillo mentioned, the Office of Child and Youth Success. I will just quickly note that two of the callers who called in, Arsan and Sophia Haidari from Youth Will, these are young people in their early 20s, and they are continuing advocacy that began in 2006, when San Diego gathered to start the work of creating an office for youth development at that time, because there was a spike in violence. And they knew that investing in our youth's future was the way to address that need over the long term. 15 years later, that work is continuing. And I think it's very important that we hear those needs. We heard the statistical reason why we should do that. We know the moral reason for investing in young people. Community, at least I just want you to know the District 9 hears you, and we will fight hard to make sure that this budget is a step in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Our communities, our economy, and our city revenues have been greatly impacted during this past year. Every budget cycle has its own unique challenges, but crafting a budget that works for all San Diegans during a pandemic is certainly an historic endeavor. I want to take a moment to recognize each of our city's departments, the IBA, the mayor's office, for their efforts during this year's budget process. And I also want to thank the members of the public for their input during this process and for staying engaged in our communities. I look forward to working with all of you as we craft this year's budget, and we will continue to prioritize access, equity, and efficiency as we move to adopt the fiscal year 22 budget. Thank you very much. We will now take up non-agenda public comment. Clerk, please proceed with public comment.
Thank you. Non-agenda public comment per our temporary rule 2.6. This is an opportunity for members of the public to speak on items that are not on the agenda, but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. So comments should not be budget related, since that was the agenda item for this evening. But if you have an issue you'd like to talk about that's not on the agenda but is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council, please raise your hand by tapping the raise your hand icon. Each speaker will have 2 minutes. The call-in numbers on the screen: 1-669-254-5252, webinar 1-601-405-223#. We already have 6 folks in the queue. We'll start with Jean-Louis. Go ahead, you'll have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Jean-Louis. I'm the organizer with the CBA and the CBI. I just want to raise attention to the city council member and the city as well. Part of the budgeting process is engaging the public. This meeting was scheduled for months, but yet the agenda would not docket until late last Friday. And it's the most absurd thing that I heard was basically this agenda literally have only one item. It should not take that long for y'all to basically docket the agenda. Do you realize that how hard it is to mobilize community members into participation? You don't docket item on late Friday and expect people to show up on the weekend. You don't work on the weekend. Well, actually you do, because you have to go around to community events. I correct myself on that. But the fact is that people also have lives, and you can't expect people to engaging over the weekend. I would highly encourage you, if you're really intentional about public participation, next time please do better. Docket the item, docket the agenda so much sooner, so that we all know what the number of people can submit the e-comment or emailing in or calling in. We can't wait until the delay. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. John Stump, you'll have 2 minutes. We have 7 speakers in the queue.
Thank you, Council, for an excellent meeting. Everybody looks fresh. This, of course, would be about my 50th year in City Council budget. So you look fresh. I know we're going to have a good outcome. What I want to talk to you about tonight is a letter of coercion sent to you by SDG&E threatening you that if you did not get in line and sign that new franchise agreement effective June 2nd, they were going to cut off your cash. If you didn't take out the papers in the trash and do what you're told, they're going to cut off your spending cash. The council should not allow themselves to be coerced. Perhaps it's the best thing that ever happened. Perhaps lowering the utility bills for families and businesses in San Diego would be a great thing to stimulate the economy. But perhaps the really safest and best thing to do is extend the current agreement with the current terms for an additional 5 years. Then we don't get into a review by the California Public Utilities Commission about the new terms, because as you know, the new agreement would be an agreement de novo, and it would incorporate all the law changes since 1970. And I believe that the franchise fee differential is not a fee, it's a tax. And I'm going to pursue that. So please, don't be coerced. Don't have to take out the papers in the trash. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yasmin Obeid, followed by MK, followed by 2104. We have 8 speakers in the queue.
Hello, folks. This is Yasmin Abid again. I'm the youth organizer with Mid-City Can. Thank you for tonight's forum. Highly echo John Wee's comments. And I also want to lift up something else. Elizabeth, thank you for all your patience last Tuesday during the commissions and your department's review. You mentioned how you were working really hard to make sure that we have accessible languages to all community members in San Diego. I want to thank you for that. And I want to really lift that up and make sure that you know that the community appreciates that and we support it and we will utilize it. I know you mentioned a few languages, so I appreciate that. And please continue working on continuing to make these meetings and city council in general accessible to the community. On that note, you also mentioned how your office is working hard to continue providing a virtual as well as an in-person option once we do move back to in-person. I really, really want to echo that and highlight how important it is. I work with young people. I host youth council every single week with young folks 18 and below. And more than half of my youth council is asking us to make sure we have a virtual component even if we're going back to full in person, because a lot of families, virtual made it more accessible for them to participate. And for us organizers on the ground, virtual is making it so much easier for our families who are working more than one job to participate. It's easier to call in and be on the phone while and listening to your name than to actually be in city council halls for more than 10, 12 hours. It's more accessible. It's more possible for us and for our communities to participate, especially working class communities of color. Please continue to provide the virtual component. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your comments. MK, you're our next speaker, followed by 2104, followed by Scott Anglin. MK, you'll have 2 minutes. Are you there?
Thank you. Actually, the previous speaker spoke mostly everything I wanted to say. She must have been reading my mind. Michelle Krug, I totally always want to thank Elizabeth Malin, for your patience, your professionalism, and just your good spirits. First time I've heard Diana Puentes translating, yay. She did a great job. And I also I've heard that you were going to keep it as the potential for people to continue to speak virtually at the city council meetings, even when you go back in person. I also really want to lift that up. I love the accessibility and the accessibility around the languages. So thank you for all of that. I love this format has made it, I know it's harder for you guys not to know how many people are going to be speaking, but the amazing amount of flexibility that you have presented really has made it much easier for people to participate. And I really do appreciate that. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Michelle. 2104, followed by Scott England, followed by Galaxy A51 5G.
Hello, everybody again. This is, again, Anthony Avalos from District 2, City Council President's District. I want to say thank you for the last two callers first for mentioning the virtual access, as I want to echo their sentiments. I want to add to that I am requesting that the City Council develop a commission to explore alternatives to community safety and find community organizations already doing the work that they can then partner with in order to move funding that is currently being used for other purposes towards those community organizations. I'd also like to ask that the City Council develop a commission to look into reparations for descendants of slaves and indigenous people here in San Diego City, as well as San Diego County. I hope that everybody has a great night. I very much appreciate your time and look forward to speaking with you all soon.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your comments. Scott England, followed by Galaxy A51 5G, followed by 8700.
Hello, District 9 resident. I'll keep the laundry list short this time. It's been a long night and it will continue to be. So I appreciate all of you staying here. And also the fact that pretty soon after someone said, hey, we can't see anybody's faces, everybody's faces showed up. So that felt good just from a public transparency perspective. Wanted to bring up once again how important it will be for the city of San Diego's long-term sustainability to introduce a program for municipally managed social housing. Market solutions are important, and they are an inevitable fact of the housing problems that we face now, as well as many of the housing solutions. But by offering purely private solutions, we see things like the $825,000 median home price that we see in San Diego without viable and reasonable and legitimate public competition for private developers, managers, and builders. Many know that there's a very small likelihood that the prices of housing in the city or county of San Diego are going to be attainable for working families at any time going forward without massive public intervention. I'm just urging especially members Elo Rivera, Von Wilpert, and La Cava, all of whom I know have expertise on housing as well as active transportation, engineering, and the markets in general, to back up your narratives with substantive active action to try to realize what so much of the rest of the world has been able to do and actually offer viable alternatives to the out of control housing market locally through municipally managed social housing developed on the abundantly available city property. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Galaxy A51 5G, maybe Francine Maxwell, followed by 8700, followed by Matt Corrales.
Good evening, Francine Maxwell. I wanted to circle back to make sure that the record reflected that this council decided not to make sure that the public that voted 75% for the CPP did not get what we wanted immediately. You made sure that we did not get two split ordinances so that we could have a clean CPP. You carried over the CRB as interim CPP, and they are not trusted. And so I want to make sure that you understand that you are our elected officials. We're looking for bold leadership. We're looking for you to not let the CRB, the interim CPP, hire. We know that the interim executive director needs help. Hire her a temp agency. Get us our investigators on a contract. There are so many things you can do besides let people that are not trusted in the community, 75%, pick who the staff will be. Why is it that you're sitting there still on the diocese and letting this happen? Well, you're not on the diocese. You're all at home or in your office on Zoom. So I take that back. But we are closely monitoring. The community is livid at the fact that you want to pretend like this is taking so long. We know that you can have a temp come in to help with some of the administrative. We know that you can put an investigator on a contract if you want to. And I implore you, city council members, make sure every one of your chief of staff goes on the YouTube and watch the transition meetings that are done every Friday and listen to what this interim CPP is saying. It's the CRB every day. And they're holding on to they should not be writing their SOP. We should have a pseudo CPP right now making their own SOPs. So I want you to be diligent and continue, but the community, 75%, we're paying attention right now, and everybody should be watching the YouTube transitional CPP meetings.
Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but you've had your 2 minutes. We need to press on 8700, followed by Matt Corrales. We have 2 speakers in the queue. 8700, phone number ending in 8700. It's a 619 number. I'll give you another second or two, and then I'm going to go ahead and put you back in the queue, and you're going to hopefully sort out your technical difficulties. We still have 2 additional speakers in the queue, so you'll still be able to jump back in. If you could please sort out your technical issues. Matt Corrales, followed by Andrew Matt Shiner.
Good evening, bootlickers. I would just like to say that I saw not a single one of you at the protest this past Saturday. Councilmember Whitburn, in fact, you were maybe a few blocks away, and you couldn't be bothered to come down and protest a massacre going on in occupied Palestine. I think it is a damn shame that you can claim to represent the public, and yet you couldn't be bothered because you're taking money from AIPAC, you're taking money from the police lobby, you're all taking the dirty money that is coming and actually coming to the coffers of the San Diego Police Department to continue to buy weapons from the same people that sell weapons to Israel, from the same police agencies that go and train in Israel. So the connection is clearly there between the killing of Black people in the streets in San Diego and the killing of brown people in the occupied state of Israel. Please stop your support of the illegal settlements. Stop your support of the terrorism and yes, it is terrorism on the streets of San Diego by the San Diego Police Department, and the terrorism that you are perpetuating with your continued support of the illegal settler state of Israel. Stop the bootlicking, stop the funding of the San Diego Police Department, and really just reconsider your lives. You should all resign, actually, for continuing to do the wrong thing. Listen to the people, solidarity with the people of Palestine, defund and fuck the San Diego Police Department.
Andrew Matt Shiner is our final speaker. Andrew, you'll have 2 minutes.
While I agree with some of the things the previous friend said, I don't share quite the animosity. I do want to thank you all for staying on this long with 2 comment sessions. I don't have kids, but I can only imagine what that's like for many of you balancing all these things this evening. So thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to talk about racial justice a little bit, and the city council, and tonight I think further kind of underscores it. and it's that we have some new white, liberal, progressive, whatever you think of yourselves as, council members, and the actions so far haven't matched the words and the rhetoric. And so, Marnie, tonight, I heard you thank people. You heard us. You appreciate us. You mentioned the arts feedback and comments you heard. Did you hear just as many comments about defunding the police? Did you hear those comments and you didn't care to acknowledge them? Because we heard you acknowledge the arts comments. And there were just as many, if not more, about defunding the police and reallocating resources. We need more from you, right? You've talked in other meetings about being a part of Surge DC. Where are those values in action? Stephen Whitburn, events in your district where the police are harming people. We hear very little from you. We see you at Breonna Taylor's protest. We hear very little from you on police violence in your district, downtown and otherwise. Joe LaCava, I'm in District 1. I know we've talked before. You have great experience with the Police Review Board. I appreciate your statement last week. We need more than a couple $100,000 or even a couple $1 million for mobile crisis response unit. It's a great step, but even a couple $1 million in a $599 million investment in policing just ain't it, right? We're tinkering around the edges. We're using flowery racial justice rhetoric. And I want to believe your hearts are in the right place. I don't know. I'm not here to judge those things, but we need an action and a commitment in a very material way that right now isn't there from some folks in your district, and others are really asking for it.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your comments. We have one more speaker, 3313. Please unmute yourself with *6. Caller ending in 3313. It's a 619 number. You need to unmute yourself. It's *6. I can't unmute you. There you go. We can hear you. Go ahead. You'll have 2 minutes for your non-agenda public comment.
Hola, me llamo Vilia. Soy de...
Un momento, por favor. Un traductor está aquí. Un momento. I believe Deanna is still on the line. My apologies. We're trying to get her. Just one moment. Un momento, por favor. My apologies. Our translator went to put her kids to bed. She'll be right. She'll be right with us. And it looks like we do have other speakers who are queuing up now. I've asked my deputy director to.
City Clerk, the translator is getting back on the line. I would take the other two folks first. So maybe one of our Spanish-speaking council members could let the constituent know that we'll get back to them.
Ahora vamos a regresar en un momento. Estamos esperando al traductor y va a regresar en un momento. Por favor, espera.
Sí, gracias.
Oh, and I have Deanna here. Go ahead, Deanna. Deanna, you need to unmute yourself. I've done the ask to unmute.
Hola, señor. ¿Podría empezar? Voy a traducirle.
Sí, gracias.
Oh, señora,
Mire,
perdón.
hola, me llamo Vilia. Soy de ACE San Diego.
Yes, hello, my name is Bilia and I'm from ACE, San Diego.
Llamo el día de hoy para oponerme al presupuesto.
I'm calling today to talk about the budget. Liz, I'm not sure if you.
Oh,
are
yeah, if you
allowed-
could let her know, I'm so sorry that that portion of the meeting has concluded. This is for items that are not on the agenda, which would, it shouldn't be a budget item.
Ujú. Esa porción de la agenda donde estaban hablando sobre el presupuesto ya
Ajá.
concluyó, señora. Ahorita nomás pueden hablar sobre cosas que no están agendados hoy en esta agenda.
Ay, sí, es que yo llegué de trabajar. Ok, está bien, pues.
Disculpe, pero siempre
Sí.
puede mandar por correspondencia y también se va a dar a todos los regidores. Si quiere, puede mandar correo electrónico o hablarnos mañana cityclerk@sandiego.gov.
Ah, ok, muchas gracias. Bye,
Muchas
bye.
gracias, señora. Que tenga buena noche.
Thank you, Deanna. So sorry. And excuse me, with that, Council President, that concludes the non-agenda public comment this evening.
Thank you so much. We will now adjourn council to the regular council meeting on tomorrow, Tuesday, May 18th, 2021 at 9 a.m. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.